What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world.
Hey, what's up?
Mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
Chilly in here. We had our first little cold snap and fucking cold snap and snowstorm all together here.
And we feel betrayed.
It's like barely a snowstorm, but still, it was a dusting. And then up in the higher elevations, they had enough snow to barely play in, but still.
Wake
it's there, sort of. Stop that. You can change the color of your name.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. We went and saw the Santa train. I've seen it like on the news. I've seen it pass in person before. It is like a thing a CSX does, typically for super low income areas where kids don't typically get presents, right? It's like that bad. It's like in coal country, Appalachia. It's usually Southwest Virginia, Kentucky, the areas that CSX runs through. If their track runs there, they do a Santa train. If you're in a certain threshold, they do it two different ways. So they do main, at least they used to. I don't know if they still do. I haven't looked it up in years. They do main stops where the train parks, and it's usually there for like 2 hours. They have concessions. They have bags they give away, that like one bag with like a toy and snacks and cakes and candy in it, and another bag with like basic supplies like soap and socks and shit like that, right? Then they do these quick like stop things where like if you're at the right area while they're moving through, they'll slow all the way down to like the slowest speed on the train, and they just toss gifts out, like these bags that have gifts in them. So you can just wait on the side of the road, but you got to be there at the right time or you miss it, right? Because it just comes through. It doesn't actually stop. Well, since we were hit with a hurricane this year, they put in an extra however much it was to do a stop, and they did it for our town. And our town is a big railroad town. The railroad built our town. That's the only reason it's here. Where there's actually there's a street where all the houses on it that were originally there that are still standing were built by the railroad. They were built for like railroad management and foremans. And that's how those houses were built. Like, they also brought in, it was pretty cool. It was hard to get a picture of because it wasn't lit up, but they used like our traditional, what do they call it? They call it the Heritage Edition. So they have, our railroad was originally the Clinchfield. So they had Clinchfield number 1, Clinchfield number 2 engines that pulled it. And the 3 was in tow. So they had the 3 Clinchfield Heritage Edition whatever engines that were pulling the train, and Santa's on it, and he comes out on the stage. They had a country performer, but they had a big gazebo type thing, I guess, and they had heaters because it was cold as fuck. Like the high yesterday was 32, and the wind was blowing like 30 miles an hour. But they had these big outdoor heaters, and they gave away stuff, and the boys got some stuff. This hot chocolate. They had Chick-fil-A donated like 5,000 sandwiches or like 5,000 meals. So it was like a sandwich, bag of chips, and something else. Plus they had hot dogs and hot chocolate, cups of popcorn. They had some, I just looked them up for my sister because I don't really know country musicians, but they had a country singer there that did like a little mini concert. It was pretty cool. The lights on the train are pretty awesome. They're like Christmas lights, like on the side of the train car, but they're like animated to do stuff. That was pretty cool. I don't know. It was all right. There was a ton of people. There's probably, like people come in and come out because it's like 2 hours long and you don't have to be there the whole time. But when we were there were probably a couple thousand people there. Like it was insane. So it was pretty neat. Usually we just see it on the news here locally, but it doesn't actually stop in our town. It doesn't even go through our town at all. They usually start in Kingsport, and there's not even a stop in Kingsport. It's to go on into to like load the train to get it ready to go to Virginia. So it was pretty wild. The kids seemed like they had fun. It was really cold, but we all bundled up and tried to stay out of the wind. So there you go. After that, while we were there, it started snowing. And then after that, it was like fucking pouring the snow. So I came to the office yesterday, but the whole way here was pouring the snow. The whole way back, it was pouring the snow. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to get home and try to get home as warm as I can and not do a show. So we didn't do a show last night. There you go. Now, there's been a new update in the Kyle situation. So, some of you guys found Kyle on social media and had a perfectly reasonable interaction with Kyle. Kyle said that he was going to have me arrested. I'm here to tell you I have not been arrested. Kyle, the guy who called DCS on us and lied his ass off, and Kyle, the guy who claims he's suing Mariah for liable, Liabel, liable, which is not something you can do, says that we tried to murder him with our vehicle. Kyle claims that everybody needs to leave him alone unless you want to be brought up on criminal charges for commenting on his page. He threatened anybody who commented on his page to be part of criminal charges. And then when someone said libel's not criminal, it's civil, he said that was before they tried to run me over with their car. Now, clearly this guy's completely unhinged. Do I look like the type of person that's going to run somebody over in my car? Like, I would just get out and beat your ass if that was my goal. It doesn't make much sense. Much less with my kid in the car. You think I'm gonna endanger my kid to run you over with my car? But Mariah's pretty smart. So because he's a psychopath, because he makes shit up, because he's been known to be arrested multiple times, Mariah's been recording anytime there's an interaction that, like we see. So this idiot, even though he's banned from the property, even though he's suing us, even though he called DCS on us and lied his ass off to make a case, he's on our road every fucking day. Every fucking day he's on our road. So Mariah started recording every time we run into him because he's just going to make shit up. He's going to say we said something or did something or try to do something, right? He's already making shit up. So the best thing to do is just to record it, right? That way there's nothing he can make up. So tonight, I present to you my attempted manslaughter of Kyle. Now, I want you to look at this unbiasedly, okay? I want you to look at this as unbiased as possible and see if you can pinpoint the point in the video where I decided to murder Kyle. Are you ready, chat? Also, be advised, we're talking to Ollie about how weird the English language is while he's in the back seat of our car. So here we go. It happens quick. All right, so that's Kyle right there. See him on the screen? That's Kyle right there. Just so you know, that's Kyle right there. It seems like if I was going to hit him, that I would do it before he noticed me when I waited patiently behind him. Wouldn't that be the time to run somebody over? Like they don't even know you're there. and you're waiting on them to get out of the fucking road, wouldn't that be the time to... Well, whatever. Here we go. All right, so Mariah, you heard Mariah roll up her window, and I've already slowed all the way down to his walking speed, right? He has no idea we're there. He's just doing his thing, walking there. Now, wait till you see me almost manslaughter him. Okay, he sees us. He holds up, he gives us a cheers with his drink. Okay. He finally notices us. Cheers. And I drove around him. Did you see the murder? Did you see how murderous that was? And how I almost tried to kill him? I'm telling you, guys, I should be locked away. I don't know where I come up with these ideas to just randomly murder people with my car by driving around them. So this motherfucker says he went to the police department and told them that we tried to run him over while he was walking on the road, and that the police will be down there anytime now to arrest me. And anybody else that comments on his Facebook is getting criminal charges too. I'm probably not above killing somebody with a car, but it would probably be before they notice me. Like I wouldn't stop and just drive behind you for 30 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. I would have just hit you right here. That would have been the last thing you ever fucking saw. But you have to remember, this is the same guy that called DCS on us and said that we had our kids in unsafe conditions 2 weeks after he asked us to watch his kid at our house because he couldn't get his life together. He literally messaged Mariah and asked her if we could watch his kid at our house. He left his kid at our house on Saturday for over an hour when he left the property and his kid was there. Like he showed up for volunteer day or whatever, and we weren't going to run him off on volunteer day. So he left his kid for over an hour at our house. But it's so unsafe there that he felt like he needed to get DCS involved. Anybody that would weaponize DCS is a fucking piece of shit. I'll go ahead and stand on that statement. Sue me for liable. That'll work out for you. Kathy H is back. Is his name not Scarborough? You think his name is Scarborough? Scargarber. The guy's name is Scarborough.
Jessif just resubscribed for 29 months.
Thank you very much, Jessif. Scarborough. Like that's a common last name, right? You guys, it's a city. There's Scarborough Castle. It's a common last name that people have. Isn't there somebody named there's a news anchor or something, Chuck Scarborough. Chuck?
Country just
something like that.
For 27 months.
Thank you for the resubscription. It's definitely not Scar Garber. Joe? Oh, shit. Hold on. You can't hit it.
Post it, and instead of just to explain my exchange with Scott Garber. Scott Garber is a major contributor to the Red Stack.
Joe Scarborough, thank you.
This one. Someone got butthurt over something he posted, and instead of just scrolling past and keeping their mouth shut, they reported him to Telegram, and he's been put.
She calls him Scar Garber.
Okay, just to explain my exchange with Scott Garber.
Scar Garber.
Scott Garber is a major contributor to the Red Stack Step Stacker page and this one. Someone got explain my exchange with Scott Garber. Scott Garber is a major contributor to the Red Stack Step Stacker page and this one. Someone got butthurt over something he posted, and instead of just scrolling past and keeping their mouth shut, they reported him to Telegram, and he's been put on a 30-day scammer hold. I'm doing what I can to get that removed, and I'll keep up with that post to make sure that Telegram pays
You stay on top of it.
or I will email Telegram.
Okay.
If you have a problem with another member, you can private message me, at which time you will probably told to buck it up, Buttercup. This is no time to be getting butthurt over a post. We have got a lot of information flowing, and we need everybody on deck.
Everybody on deck.
Please get over it.
Isn't she still mad that Phil made her leave because he wouldn't make her a mod on his channel?
Okay, just to explain my exchange with Scott Garber.
Scar Garber.
Scott Garber is a major contributor to the Red Stack Step Stacker page and this one. Someone got butthurt over something he posted, and instead of just scrolling past and keeping their mouth shut, they reported him to Telegram, and he's been put on a 30-day scammer hold. I'm doing what I can to get that removed, and I'll keep up with that post to make sure that Telegram pays attention, or I will email Telegram. If you have a problem with another member, you can private message me, at which time you will probably told to.
By the way, the name of her group and her name, because she posts in that group, is Kathy H. ... It's time ... Let's do this. All capitals. I'm excited.
Buck it up, Buttercup.
Buck it up, Buttercup.
At which time you will probably told to buck it up, Buttercup. This is no time to be getting butthurt over a post. We have got a lot of information flowing, and we need everybody on deck. Please get over it.
Please get over it, guys. That's from Kathy H. What else is going on? MrBeast drama. You guys know we covered MrBeast and his crew and the allegations and the dog pack guy. Which I don't know much about it. I was just going off what other people were saying about it. We were just talking about what other people were saying about it. Well, there's been some discrepancy found. So I think the guy's name is Soggy Cereal. It's a YouTuber. I know everybody calls him Soggy, but I don't know what his full name is. Hold on. Soggy Cereal, I think. Did a full in-depth going over everything about the MrBeast and Dog Pack stuff. A bunch of people jumped on the MrBeast bandwagon like, he's a pedophile. I can't believe he did this. I can't believe he did that. Blah, blah, blah. And then I just saw Dr. J just dropped this. So I guess Oompaville interviewed him. I didn't know that was a thing, but it's over 3 hours long. We can't watch it all.
Well, MrBeast is currently on a private jet on his way.
Surely he's got to say, I don't know. When asked if you're going to sue Dog Pack, if you don't know, he seems very, very biased. And the reason he seems so biased is because he worked for MrBeast for like 5 days. then he was let go. Then he like begged. So first of all, not just he worked for MrBeast, he was like an obsessed MrBeast person on the MrBeast Reddit threads, like saying, this is what I would do. Here's how I do that. He applied multiple times. He was really intense about like how bad they were doing and how he could do so much better because he knew psychological responses in humans and blah, blah, blah. Just all these really obsessive posts. I think they're obsessive. Then he went to work there. He was there for like 5 days. Then he left. Then suddenly he's exposing MrBeast for like illegal lottery, illegal gambling, putting children in danger, faking videos, all this crazy stuff.
Way to where I live in Central Texas.
I have not seen
conversation with me with the intention of addressing the controversy that he's been involved in over the last few months. And I think that it's important for me to document my intentions before embarking on this risky and difficult task. I'm not Scott Pelley. I am not a hard-hitting genius investigative journalist. I'm a YouTuber with a medium-sized platform. I'm currently doing journalism, to be fair, but I'm goofy, all right? Also, back in August, I platformed Dogpack, and out of fairness, I feel that it is important to do the same for MrBeast. MrBeast has agreed to keep an open line of communication. He'll only be here for a little bit, which is crazy because he's flying halfway across the country, and he and his team have agreed to provide us with evidence and information to give proof to claim full source. Yep. Exactly. Would you be willing to put your hand on this? I missed some questions, but I absolutely did my best.
It's gonna make him swear on a Bible.
And I stand behind the result, maybe. And I look forward to seeing the comments and criticism. Firstly, would you be willing to put your hand on this Bible and swear?
Oh my gosh, you actually have a Bible?
I have 2 Bibles.
Are you being serious?
I am being serious.
Okay.
I'm swearing. We're both from the South. This will be an honest video.
Oh, your laptop's blocking it.
Oh, whoops. This will be an honest video. You're a man from North Carolina. I'm from Virginia.
The Bible Belt.
The Bible Belt,
Yep.
exactly.
I know what this means.
This means it's legit.
Yes. Okay.
There we go.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
I don't think anybody swore though.
Legal now.
It is. I can go to jail.
The first biggest question for me and a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last couple months is like, why were you so...
You'll have to watch the full interview from Infoville. I can't just rip off a fucking 3-hour video, but I am interested to see how this starts out.
Especially off the bat. Like, you did respond to the Ava Tyson stuff immediately, but like, you know, right after that, a bunch of other stuff.
The Ava Tyson stuff is basically like one of his good friends that he started the channel with is now trans. And then some messages came out to where inappropriate. No, it doesn't seem like there was any interaction or any essay or just inappropriate jokes were made with teenagers, like sexualized jokes that you wouldn't make with anybody else's teens. I damn sure wouldn't make with anybody else's teens. I wouldn't make it with somebody that I'm not good friends with. I'd still probably make the joke, but we'd have to be decent, at least decent friends. But as soon as all that come out, he immediately said, hey, we're getting a third-party investigation going. We're going to have this fully checked out. We've separated ourselves for now, and we'll see what the investigation holds. Like, I don't think he could have had a better response. There's people on Twitter that wants him to come out and be like, we're going to kill all trans people. But that's not the response he can make, right? Instead, he said, hey, we're going to investigate it. Third-party investigation that's clear of our team, so there's no bias. We're going to go through everything. We'll share our results and our findings. We'll be transparent. That's like the best response you can make when something like this happens.
Came out and Dawson's video, his first video, gained a bunch of traction. What was your reasoning for being so silent immediately?
That's a great question to kick it off on.
There also was a group chat that MrBeast was in. He didn't seem like he was active in it. That allegedly shared a picture of Melania Trump when she was 17. And they're like, it's CP, it's CP. They shared this picture as CP. Turns out she was 18 in the picture, first of all. Second of all, a bunch of people covering this tried to, thinking that she was 17, thinking that it was CP, they tried to recover that picture. They tried the Wayback Machine. They tried finding other sources. They tried downloading it from other places. If that is child porn, what you're doing is illegal. Trying to expose what they're doing.
Kind of laid out the timeline there. The Ava stuff came out, and I put out that tweet. We hired the investigators to go look into it, and part of that investigation is they recommended that I not talk about drama or really do anything online because it might influence, witnesses or any people they might interview or ex-employees. So it's a little unfortunate because I told them, okay, I'll wait till the investigation is over. And I believe that was literally like a week before the Dogpack video came out. And then, truthfully, just in transparency, I've never done one of these like big investigations before. And in my head, it was going to last like 2 or 3 weeks. It ended up taking a couple months.
Dogpack has milked the fuck out of it, by the way. So one of the things I don't agree with is they had a guy on one of their challenges that worked for them. So if you don't know, sometimes people that work for him are part of his challenges. MrBeast does challenge videos where you win money or whatever. And it was like solitude. Like they put him in this little apartment thing they built for him and had a bunch of shit in there. And they had chances for him to win money. Every day he stayed there, he won more money, blah, blah, blah. They told him he could leave at any time. He tried to stay longer than I guess he could mentally take it. But then he was like crying because they're like, oh, well, stay as long as you can. And he's like, they're trying to get me to stay even longer. I can't take it anymore. Nobody forced him to stay. He could quit at any time. But he stayed longer than maybe he should have. I don't know. It was just so weird.
Apparently combing through all the documents and doing all the interviews and everything just took way longer than I thought because I've never had to bring in a top tier law firm and a former federal prosecutor and let him, do this really big thing. And so that kind of concluded a couple of weeks ago when I put out the tweet of the follow-up. Like that was the day I got the conclusion of it. And I was like, okay, in transparency, I'll throw this out. Thing. And so that kind of concluded a couple of weeks ago when I put out the tweet of the follow-up.
Over the last few days, I've become aware of serious allegations. Okay, so it's the follow-up. A 3-month investigation into allegations regarding my company has concluded. The law firm investigators reviewed millions of documents, messages, and conducted 39 interviews. I was asked to refrain from making public statements to enable a detailed and unbiased investigation. I want to go read this statement. Because I don't think he could have handled this. I don't think he could have handled this more. I don't think he could have handled this better. I guess I don't understand. There's also this really weird thing that people think MrBeast is the Antichrist, and another one of his good friends went in the opposite direction, and basically he goes live on TikTok now and just reads. He quit appearing in MrBeast videos. He quit being around. He goes live on TikTok now and just reads Bible verses. So now people are saying that MrBeast is the Antichrist. But okay, here it is. A 3-month investigation allegations regarding my company has concluded. The law firm investigators reviewed millions of documents and messages and conducted 39 interviews. I was asked to refrain from making public statements to enable a detailed and unbiased investigation. Below are their conclusions. Here we go. Dear Board of Directors, as you know, in July 2024, MrBeast LLC, the company engaged Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan LLP to conduct an internal investigation of specific allegations made with respect to current and former company personnel and the company's workplace environment and culture. At your direction, Quinn Emanuel immediately launched a comprehensive investigation, which has now concluded. The following sets forth certain key findings and conclusions from the investigation without waiving any applicable privileges, including but not limited to the attorney-client privilege and work product protection. As an initial matter to protect the investigation's integrity, on July 31st, 2024, Quinn Emanuel requested that a former employee, Dawson French, cease making public allegations against the company, as those were the topic of an ongoing investigation. We also requested that current employees refrain from public comments to ensure the investigation yielded accurate information and that witnesses were not tainted. So the more people come out and talked about it, the more likely a witness is to see something on a video and then claim that that was their experience or claim that that didn't happen because they misremembered it or whatever. The intent was to foster candid interviews and complete cooperation with the investigatory process. Quinn Emanuel conducted 39 interviews of current and former employees. Over 4.5 million documents collected from mobile phones, emails, telegrams, Discords, WhatsApps, and Slack were processed and reviewed. The collaboration and the cooperation sought at the outset were achieved throughout this process. Quinn Emanuel thoroughly investigated all public allegations and any others that arose during the investigation. The investigation produced the following significant findings. Allegations of sexual misconduct, pedophilia, grooming, child pornography, etc. between company employees and minors are without basis. The allegations were soundly rejected, including by the alleged victims. Allegations of the company knowingly employing individuals with proclivities or histories towards illegal and questionable legal content are similarly without basis. Here, too, the allegations were uniformly rejected. So, MrBeast, for a while, did employ a guy who had charges in Delaware for something with a minor, right? Now, that guy's cousin says it was a setup, blah, 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 whatever. The way MrBeast hired him is when he was 19 years old, and they made it seem like MrBeast went out of his way to hire a child predator or some shit. The way that guy was actually hired is when MrBeast was 19 years old and his company fucking blew up overnight, he needed employees. So he went to the local Best Buy and hired the manager at the Best Buy. and literally joked like he's got to be a good guy. Best Buy's a huge corporation. They're not going to hire somebody. But he's like a 19-year-old kid making mistakes, right? None of this came out about any of his interaction or his crimes in Delaware until long after he was gone and left the company already. Several isolated instances of workplace harassment misconduct were identified during the investigation. The company was informed of such conduct and took swift and appropriate actions to address the incidents, including, where necessary, disciplining or letting go of implicated individuals. As you are well aware, the company has grown exceedingly quickly from a YouTube startup comprised of a group of talented young individuals to a much larger entity. It is not uncommon that policies and practices essential in a mature company would lag behind commercial success. This appears to have been the case here and has, in certain instances, allowed for inappropriate conduct. It is clear that the company is committed to remedying historical issues and creating a mature culture where problematic behaviors are not tolerated as it enters this new phase. The company has already implemented, or is in the process of implementing, changes to ensure a safe and professional corporate culture today and moving forward. These include sending clear messages regarding tone at the top, hiring a new chief executive officer, chief people officer, and general counsel, and as soon to be hired chief financial officer. Implementing mandatory corporate training for all employees, developing new policies codified in an employee handbook, establishing an anonymous reporting mechanism hotline for employees, swiftly terminating individuals who violated company policy regardless of their position or level within the company, identifying additional employees for targeted training and excessive coaching or executive coaching to address professionalism and compliance with company policy. This officially concludes our investigation. We remain available if you need any follow-ups or have any further questions. Yours truly, Alex Spiro. It's weird to think that MrBeast got his start from like sitting in his room counting from 0 to 1 million on live stream, and now he's got to produce a company handbook and hotline when he hires his chief financial officer. That's wild.
Follow up. Like that was the day I got the conclusion of it, and I was like, okay, in transparency, I'll throw this out. So up until that point, it was, I told Quinn Emanuel that, to protect the integrity, I wouldn't do anything or engage in this drama. And then after that, like I said, a lot of stuff had come out between when the investigation started and when it ended. And I was just kind of like, whoa, I don't really know how to hit this stuff. And I made like a little response video, but it's just kind of not my style, where I just kind of put a lot of the information that I assume we're gonna talk about here out, and it just felt weird. Truthfully, I've never been in a situation where people have thrown this much stuff at me, and I definitely could have handled it better. Like I probably should have, like the second I could have talked, like.
More information on this was provided by MrBeast in the doc linked in the description, specifically a document from QE outlining the initial recommendation for silence.
I don't remember the exact date, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we put that report out. Probably should have done something like this right then. If I could go back in time, I would. That's kind of like the brain dump, and then here I am.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, you answered it towards the end, but like, do you regret that, obviously?
Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would do what we're doing here, because I assume this is like the correct format. It's going to be a little bit more free-flowing and natural, and I wouldn't have wasted so much time like trying to do a response. It's just not my thing. I like so much better, or I'm assuming, we just started, but I think I'm going to like so much better being asked the questions and answer instead of just like sitting in a chair like this, answering it. It just feels a little more natural.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that definitely, that does line up obviously with what's happened, and it makes sense. And I definitely, I feel like before talking to you, I definitely would imagine that you would regret have not making a response early.
Oh, 100%.
Like that, because you could have just immediately, if there was information to debunk Dogpack's his first video off the bat.
Yeah, which obviously had too much disinformation in it. If anyone saw Sagi's video or any of the newer videos now coming out, you would see so much. Yeah, so much of it. So it's
So Dogpack is the one who made most of the original claims, and then Sagi's the one who refuted a lot of those claims.
It's unfortunate that it happened on the back end of when I said I would not talk about or address drama and things. And I mean, there's obviously, should have done this sooner. Whoops, but better late than never.
Yeah. Did you think it would get this big?
No, I mean, truthfully, I thought if you watch Sagi's video or any of these other videos that are coming out now showing all the discrepancies, I honestly thought a lot of people would find like the information proving the dishonesty earlier.
And by the way, Sagi didn't do like any manipulation or find any people that no one else could find. He just went back. A lot of the claims like illegal lotteries and shit, he just went back and found the video and found out that no, there was free entries. They did say you could enter for free. Like a bunch of the shit was there to find. It's just nobody did. Everybody just took Dogpack's video as truth.
Because a lot of this could have been, just figure out Google. A lot of this could, and now I also have to be clear, like I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I've never done anything wrong, and you can't criticize me. Like there are things I deserve criticism for. I'm sure we'll get to some of those things in here, but there are a lot of things that are just not true. And on those things, like we'll just get to it throughout this because I'm sure you're gonna ask the questions. But there's just a lot of disinformation that was easily proven. Like the big one that videos with tens of millions of views collectively, claiming I called a guy Delaware because he committed a crime in Delaware. That is not true. His name was just Delaware. I didn't call him Delaware to make fun of him.
Oh, even when he worked at Best Buy, that's the guy they hired from Best Buy. Even when he worked at Best Buy, his Best Buy company shirt had him named Delaware. So everybody just called him Delaware. That's what he went by.
or anything. And I mean, I'm sure you're gonna ask about it later, but like, there's literally, he was in a video before I hired him working at Best Buy wearing a name.
There it is. Wearing a shirt that says Delaware. That's where he found him at. He was the manager of their local Best Buy. And MrBeast did videos where they would go and buy everything in Best Buy or try to spend $1,000 in 10 minutes in Best Buy. Like, he would obviously run into this guy because he's a store manager, so he hired him.
That said Delaware, and like that was public information, and like, you know, anyone could have saw that. And like, even during when that was like getting shared a lot a couple months ago, I even sent that to a couple YouTubers. I was like, hey, just so you know, like, I didn't call him Delaware because of this messed up thing. Like, that was just his name, and here's proof. And I guess I probably shouldn't say the name of the creators, but like, one of them literally just said to me, like, well, it's not really cool to like you or defend you right now, so I don't really care whether or not it's true, or I don't want to take the video down because then people are gonna think I'm controlled opposition. I was like, whoa. And then also, like, that same photo, are you gonna like throw some things on the screen for that?
Definitely.
Yeah, so throw it on the screen. That same photo, right after that second Dogpack video, started to get traction on Reddit, and saying like, hey, this is a lie. Jimmy didn't call him Delaware to make fun of him, you know, committing a crime in Delaware. It's just his name. And it got taken down by the mods on r/YouTube drama. And that's when I realized, like, oh, anytime there's a post proving like that I'm not evil, they were taking it down. So it was a little unfortunate too.
Yeah, that people made tons of money and tons of views off this Hate MrBeast. Even Liam, my sons, and Oliver know about this, that MrBeast got turned into the FBI for CP. Like, they even know about this. They don't watch these channels.
Because yeah, I wasn't saying anything, and then on Reddit, anytime something was proving that I wasn't evil or you know contrarian to what everyone was saying, they were suppressing it or censoring it. Not
so
extreme.
So you're saying it's like a echo chamber, which I mean, Reddit r/YouTube drama is.
Yeah, I know, but it's unfortunate when there's a post with 10,000 upvotes claiming something false about you, and then everyone, then a couple people are like, wait, that's not true. Here's proof, and then they delete it every time. So then everyone's like, okay, well that must be true because they're also deleting the comments on that post that prove it's not. And so then then it's just like now, you know, I'm not trying to sound extreme, but it's just like, well, you're censoring information. And then that paired with other YouTubers, when I would call them and share with them, they'd just be like, well, I don't want to be a MrBeast Glazer, so I don't really. You know, they wouldn't say this direct, but they're just essentially say like, I don't really care if it's true or not. I'm just gonna say what other people say. Like, sorry.
Do you have evidence of like people there being posts that existed and then didn't exist on Reddit? That
of course. Yeah, I can send you.
Yeah, if you send me anything,
you can throw it up on screen. I mean, that's not like a conspiracity theory. That's
2 months.
Thank you for the resubscription. You're almost at 2 years. Jeez.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, we can find quite a few.
I'm not that good at using Google. So
Yeah.
I'll need you to help with that. Yeah. So to circle back to the Quinn Emanuel investigation, the big thing on the internet, on Twitter specifically, was that you found yourself to be innocent. Of course, you paid a law firm to find yourself innocent.
I saw those memes. Yeah.
There's the big meme. How would you respond to the allegation that the investigation was biased from the start?
Yeah. So first off,
I don't think you can't. So no matter what he did, they were going to say it was biased, right? Unless even if the FBI at this point in time, even if the FBI came in and did a full investigation, seized his computers and shit, and found him innocent, they'd be like, oh, well, that just proves you pay money to get out of stuff. Hiring a law firm that does this professionally to investigate you is about all you can do. So there was no win for him there, right? The only way people would have cheered is if the law firm would have come out and been like, he's a pedophile. Let's get our pitchforks.
off to just set the foundation. I think a lot of people started saying, oh, of course, Jimmy did an internal investigation, found himself, they didn't find any wrongdoing, which is also not true, which I assume we'll go into that more later. They did find some wrongdoing, just not in regards to like the serious Ava allegation. So that's a, false truth. And then on top of that, it wasn't an internal investigation. It was an external investigation, which was clearly laid out in the things we showed.
Yeah, third-party investigation.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a, like, a lot of people I saw were saying like, well, you paid them. And it's like, well, yeah, top tier lawyers and federal prosecutors don't work for free, so I have to pay them. Yeah. So I don't really know how to debunk that one. I mean, it just is what it is. But yeah, we hired Quinn Emanuel, which is one of the top law firms in the world. Like, I mean, it was very expensive, but I intentionally picked them because they have a reputation and they're not just going to destroy their entire business to be biased towards me. You know what I mean? And it was led by a former federal prosecutor who did the whole thing. I mean, it was pretty intense. I mean, they did tons of interviews. I mean, they even like scanned my phone. Like, I get messages. I sent to my girlfriend. And I'm like, why is this even relevant? They're like, I mean, if you want to throw one and you want us to like be confident in what we're saying, we need to see everything. Like they went pretty hardcore on it, which is why it ended up taking a couple months. Because truthfully, when I started this process, I didn't realize like.
By the way, if anybody went through all my messages, I might be arrested. Just saying. So there was some leaks that came out of Destiny, I guess, over the last couple of days, of like him talking to someone that he was sexually involved with, and they're pretty graphic. But if you guys saw what I say to Mariah on a daily basis, I don't think I would look any better.
How intense it was, but I gave him the reins to everything, and yeah, it took longer than I thought, but I don't know. I mean, is there any like how else do I prove it? Besides, I mean, I think another thing that missing context people don't have is like if they found anything illegal, they're obligated to report it to the police. Like
right.
this like that's how these things work when they do these investigations. It's not like they could be like, hey, Jimmy, we found this illegal thing. We'll just sweep it under the rug.
But it's all right. You pay us.
Yeah, like so it's just in every way. I just don't think people understand. Like it's it was obviously Quinn Emanuel. That's why we paid him, and it was pretty thorough. And
yeah. So I mean, those are two things that make sense, right? We just covered two back-to-back things that make sense. A, you waited a long time for the investigation. B, you paid like a very reputable law firm, whatever, to investigate. Both of those things.
By the way, everybody loved MrBeast. Until he just got so big that there was time to make him the villain kind of deal.
Makes sense logically from your perspective, but also optically from the outside looking in for people who are just seeing the allegations. They're like, "Oh, this guy looks guilty."
Yeah.
And he's building this big sort of law team, and he's not responding. And he's like, so it's kind of.
We have not been served for our lawsuit yet. I don't know if we ever will. I don't know if that's real. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But I can't wait if we do to show up in court and be like, well, it's all fucking true. Like, we either witnessed it ourselves or his ex-girlfriend told us these things. I don't know. We at least had the assumption that it's true, right?
Kind of bizarre and unfortunate because like it does make sense, like from a logical perspective.
Because there's two things I could do. I could do an internal investigation.
Yeah,
that's great because I want to audit myself.
Let your mom do it.
Yeah, exactly. Let my mom do it, or I could do an external one. That's what we did. And again, it's like because I didn't have control over it. Obviously, if I did, I would be like, "Oh, do this in 2 weeks so I can get this out there." Like I didn't want it to take months, but I mean that's part of an external investigation. I don't have control over it.
Now, would you consider? So you obviously regret the remaining silent. Would you consider that the third-party investigation as a whole, looking back, would you say that's a mistake?
No, I just think I would push back on like, do I really have to be silent, or can I just like do this thing? Like go clap back on some of these things, but like some of these things, people were apparently talking to ex-employees or whatever. And so
the law firm's always going to tell you to be silent, right? And just you coming out and being like, this didn't happen, and we have witnesses, that can influence a witness, and they could say, well, they're making them think that they have to testify this way, kind of deal.
It just gets muddy because I really didn't want the integrity of the investigation to like, be in question or anything. So I was like super paranoid where I was like, okay, this is what they said. I don't want to push back or anything, but yeah.
Oh yeah, somebody put my stream in his comments. He's like, it's already at my lawyer's office. I know.
Obviously, I mean, a lot of these things are just blatantly lies. Like if I just clap back instantly, people are just like, okay, cool, and move on.
Would you consider making some details of the investigation that have yet to be seen in public? Obviously, there's like a little confidentiality that is required legally.
Exactly, yeah.
But like, is there anything?
Well, that's the thing. Like, we put out as much as we could, but I mean, obviously, they did dozens of interviews, including alleged people who were victims. And I mean, like I said, my message to my girlfriend, like they gathered a lot. So I don't really think I can. I mean, there's a lot of sensitive data and information in there.
What about like just to back up your claims?
If there was a place that had live electrical lines just out and about, right, arcing around, was covered in raw sewage, had a vicious dog that randomly attacked people, had toxic fumes that were making people puke uncontrollably, and nobody was seeking medical attention. Do you think you'd come hang out with your kid there for 4 hours? Do you think you'd ask somebody that lives in those conditions to babysit your kid?
So they're
but things on like how like they did it independently and they weren't biased. Like that's I don't really know what people want to see, but yeah, I mean figure it out.
Just from what I know about like retainer contracts with lawyers and working with third-party investigations, things like we don't have any experience with anything that big, obviously. Yeah. But maintaining a level of compliance, like I mean, if there's like a retainer contract, something showing that you shouldn't.
Now this is where I'm ignorant. Like I don't even know what really a retainer contract is, but I mean, like, if there's any way I could.
It was provide once again more information. So there's a document dump down here that includes them asking him to not basically spoil the investigation, and that he shouldn't be post. How many of your videos do you CGI? Oh, they also went over these CGI claims. So like one guy was super pissed. So there's like this, they made these rocket cars, like literally made cars strapped to rockets and see how far they could jump them. There was nobody in them, but they strapped rockets to cars. And what happened was, the claim is that the second rocket car is fake. Well, the guy who built the rocket cars like come out and he's like, no, I spent years working on this. Like, this is my fucking masterpiece. I built this car and it did fucking fly and it did jump this far. It did blah, blah, blah. What they did was like the first car failed. They had two cars. The first car failed and the second car jumped like way far with the rocket engines, right? They were both red and the same type of car. So they CGI'd one of them blue just so the audience could see the difference between the two cars. So yeah, there was CGI, but it wasn't that they faked the video. Yeah, they made this explosion bigger, but there was still an explosion, right? They added this. There was another claim where they spent so many hours out on this raft in the middle of the ocean. And at one point, they were forced to get off the raft during a lightning storm. They were off the raft on this like old ass barge that was like following them around for rescue. And they were on it for an hour and got back off. And they're like, oh, they faked the whole video. They're staying in a yacht and blah, blah, blah. Just like stupid shit. This is $1 million wire transfer. Obviously, that's not fake. But there's a bunch of questions that were answered in this. Can Jimmy show any photos or videos of Jimmy working in Ghana on cocoa farms? There he is working. Do you have any examples of our YouTube drama censoring and deleting posts? There you go. Posts being deleted. Like he's got receipts for sure. There's 15 pages of this shit, including where they asked him not to speak out. Like he should probably remain silent as to not spoil the investigation.
Could, of course.
Like your third party saying, Jimmy, don't talk. Like just basically giving credence to what you're saying. You want more evidence of what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something I'd have to like go talk to the team on.
Yeah,
I mean that would help. If that's something where people desperately want transparency, I mean, we can figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, that would just help me. I'm not sure if people, honestly, I don't know if people would give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because if people are like, we think quite Emmanuel's biased, like, even no matter what I show them, if they think a top tier law firm would willingly just take their rep for me, like, I don't know if there's anything that's.
Yeah, it'd be rare. Quinn Emanuel does this for like all kinds of corporations and shit. I just looked up their website. like they're not going to lose. They're not going to become biased and lose this shit just because like they do companies that are much larger than this. Why would they risk anything for this YouTuber? An anonymous tip line. There's the anonymous tip line, by the way. That's what that was. For example, here's a claim that Dogpack made in our explosion claiming it wasn't real. It was real. We just touched it up in post. Even if you mention in our podcast that text in the video is technically CGI. Even you mention in our podcast that text in the video is technically CGI. It's hard to give you a... yeah, that's true. So technically putting text on a video to like someone's name or whatever is technically CGI, right? Computer-generated images.
It's foolish, right? It is foolish. And it makes sense, but once again, it's like optically, there is a very easy, lowest common denominator way to look at stuff.
Yeah. And also what I would say to those people is I'm here.
Most of the claims that there was cheating or impropriety or something in the contest was because of safety reasons. Like they had one contest that this guy had to basically get out of this escape room thing, and he was like turning valves in a room that was flooded with water. Of course, there was somebody with a button that could open the door, right? What are we going to do, watch him die if he doesn't get the valves turned in time? Like, what do you... Of course there's safety built into this.
It's not like maybe that argument would work if I just never did anything, but I'm here. So
in the lion's den.
Yes, controlled opposition. Hey, also I'd love to say, I don't know if he's posting this chronologically or not, but I mean he also did interview Dogpack multiple times. So it's because I could have done this with anyone, but I think this one makes sense because you literally had the other side on here. So
yeah, and also to be clear as well, I have not signed like an NDA or
fuck.
I mean, there's genuinely nothing that's been signed. You haven't given me $1 million.
No. Hey, you should say I haven't given you a penny.
A penny. Okay, yeah. Nothing. You've given me nothing, bro. Yeah, it's actually just it's kind of interesting. It really is interesting. This is.
You should say a penny. He gave him $999,999.
Bold move, I would consider. It's quite a bold move.
And it's even more bold because I'm never vulnerable on camera. And like,
yes, it's from a lot of perspectives. It is quite bold, and it's not like I haven't been critical. I feel like I've been fairly critical. I feel, and like talking to you, I feel bad. You know, obviously, because I'm a person. There's different levels to how much you care about shit.
Yeah.
I think it is. If there were a testament, it would be that would be a testament to this being a. Okay, so that's kind of past like the main initial allegation.
We're getting right into the hard stuff.
Hell yeah. Sort of corporate culture and HR practices. That's been a big sort of point that a lot of critics have hammered home.
Yep.
We're
getting right into the hard stuff.
Hell yeah. So there have been a lot of questions about your workplace culture, such as a lack of diversity or also HR problems.
Yep.
What, if anything, have you done to address these concerns? How have you handled it since information came out, and how do you plan on handling it in the future?
Okay, so we'll start with the diversity one. If I forget the HR one, just bring it up when I finish that one. Diversity, I have seen a lot of people mention that about our company, which I mean, that was just not even true. Like, I mean, Feastables, for example, a couple months old, but like almost 70% of our company is women. And we actually, because we do dub studios around the world, now zooming out of Feastables over to content, I mean, we actually have pretty crazy amount of diversity in our company. So, because we have 400 people that work for me. It's not just me and the boys on the camera, which is the 5 you see. So that one, the few people have claimed that like they don't have any data to back it up. So I guess I probably should have brought some data. I don't want to say percentages off.
Yeah, if you have, I'm sure you've got some kind of.
Yeah, but I really that one, I just don't think it's rooted in anything. And then what's the second part?
HR. Yeah, how do you handle HR problems? What HR problems?
Oh yeah, so that one, I mean, it's a little bit of a general question, but yeah, I mean, obviously in general, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of things about HR stuff in my company, and I think one thing people don't have is just the context. Like I think they think my channel is just like 5 people or 10 people or 20, whatever. Like they don't realize the size of it. Like specifically because our videos have gotten so big. I mean, I'm gonna give a little range because depending on how many people we've hired in the last month, it's somewhere between like 250 or 300 people work at my production company. So this is a big company. There's a lot of people, and then on top of that, when
they have a full department of people that are just there for like ideation, right? That just come up with ideas, like MrBeast can shoot a car to the moon or whatever, or we could try to. There was one thing. What was the thing? There was a claim that come out where there was like this. I don't know the specifics, but I'm gonna try to describe it. There's like this disease that is 100% curable with a surgery that causes people to basically be legally blind, okay? And the surgery, and it affects a lot of people, and the surgery is not even that expensive, right? Doctors do discounted rates like medical clinics or whatever. It's not even that expensive. So they did something to raise money to get people to be able to have this surgery and see again. And they worked with like all over the world. So they probably worked with like hundreds of doctors and medical institutes or whatever, right? Medical groups, I guess I should say. They of course, MrBeast didn't work with 300 fucking medical groups. So they hired a third-party company. They paid them all the money for all the surgeries. And then that third-party company paid each individual medical group that did a surgery, blah, 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 whatever. But it was literally making people see, like healing the blind, okay? Now, the third-party group didn't pay, or something happened in some way that some of the medical groups didn't get paid. Even though MrBeast paid the entire amount to the third-party group. The third-party group somehow, I don't know if it's complications or who knows. Some of the medical groups didn't get paid. As soon, thank you for the resubscription.
Just resubscribed for 14 months.
As soon as they were made aware of this, MrBeast went around the third party and paid them anyways. So they may have even gotten paid double. But because people brought up that claim and put it out there, they were currently, this was an old video, the helping people see. They were currently raising money for a surgery to help people fucking walk again. And companies were backing out because the bad press that they were receiving around these videos. That wasn't even fucking true.
Do like bigger videos where we need to build big sets or whatever. Sometimes we bring in hundreds of contractors. So there's a lot of people that work here. And like, I just want to blankly say, like, companies at this size, like, you know, you can't ever guarantee that every interaction ever.
I've noticed that. Jilly's mom, she says, before Trump ran the first time, I don't remember so many people being so paranoid and thinking everything is fake or CGI or not trusting like doctors and lawyers and people that come out, right? I think, one, obviously he's brought that to the forefront. Two, I think more people that legitimately were fucking would have been called crazy for bringing up their thoughts because they are now feel emboldened, even if they don't support Trump. They see all these other people suggest, like on the left right now. So the left right now is saying the election was rigged. Some of them are saying the election was rigged because all these votes are missing in Russia and blah, 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 whatever. I think they feel more emboldened because crazy people have come before them and been made public. So they feel like, well, mine's not that crazy, and people say crazy stuff, so then now they say it. I think it was definitely a Trump era thing.
Everyone's going to have is always going to be positive with each other. You know what I mean?
But it was going on before that. Like, it was going on before Trump. Remember the flat earthers when they first came out?
It's impossible. So I want to start off by just saying that because I don't want people to watch this and then like a year from now, like hear some rumors.
The internet's had a big people think they're experts on things because of the internet now.
Like, oh, Jimmy didn't like any company this size, there's always going to be some problem someone has. Now, having said that, I'm not trying to use it as like a blanket of like, see, and shield myself. There are two things that are like someone in my position who runs a company like this is in control of. One is, you know, making sure we're not fostering anything inappropriate and you know, allowing it. And then two, when it inevitably happens, because it just will in a company my size. And I'm trying to be transparent here. Like, it's, you know, how do you respond to it? And then making sure you're not fostering it. Part of Coin Manual, when we had them do their investigations, I had them look at every system in my company. I had them talk to my employees and if, you know, see if there's anything they could bring to Coin Manual's attention that they could make me aware of. And like, I think it was in the report. It's like we established an anonymous hotline because Coin Manual showed me data that like sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to HR or the boss. And like, if you have an anonymous hotline,
I think it's probably the internet, but Trump made it okay. He unleashed a gigantic swath of it.
it goes to someone outside the company that can hear a complaint an anonymous hotline because Coin
Information regarding indoctrinated.
like, sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to HR or their boss, and like if you have an anonymous hotline that goes to someone outside the company that can hear a complaint and then beam it into you without disclosing who it was, like you'll get more honest feedback, you know, because there's like, so they show us a lot of things like that. Also make sure we're not fostering it. Like I think it's also in there as well. We level up like our C-suite because I've had a lot of people that have grown with me, but like me, they never ran a company that has hundreds of employees before. So I actually just hired a couple people who have worked on Fortune 500 companies who have actually ran companies this size before, and so you know they've shown me lots of things that bigger companies do that I was just ignorant on. I'm a YouTuber, you know what I mean? I spend my life staring at retention charts and CTR, not how to structure a business. So just that's phase one, is making sure you're not fostering, you know, a culture that supports that stuff. And then inevitably, like I said, you can't ever guarantee when you're working with hundreds of people full time, and then when you add part time people, potentially over 1,000 sometimes, you just gotta make sure if there are issues that, you know, actual real issues, like if someone complains because someone peed on a toilet seat, like I'm not, oh well, but if there's
are you going to sue Dog Pack? That's what I want to see.
Professionals who experience and, you know, getting down to it, interview them, gather the information. I'll recuse myself. I don't want to be the arbiter of truth. And then, you know, those experts who are experienced in handling those things, they'll tell me how to handle it.
You still have an issue watching Tom Hanks because of Q? Tom Hanks has never done anything. All right, you guys want to break from the video? Let's read some. Guess who's back? Guess whose stalker is back? She's known as the Moroccan Rose, also Jammy. You guys want some Jammy comments? Good, I got you. I'm not even waiting for your answer. Here we go. 13 hours ago from the Moroccan Rose. I'm not a chicken. You're intelligent, and do you think it's smart to fight with someone that would fight and literally flush all his money away to have his way? Nobody wins either way, and especially not me, because I don't thrive in chaos and bullshit. He has the upper hand, and I don't have a speech impediment, but I did bit a huge chunk of my tongue off when I was little doing things I shouldn't have been doing, climbing on stupid things. I was trying to balance on this little stool that had some Disney character, maybe Pluto. My mom kept saying I was going to fall. She sells seashells by the seashore. I had to say all these tongue twisters, but sometimes I hear the same slur in my brother, so I wonder if it's not from my tongue bite and just something we both do when we are tired. I used to do weird stuff, like walk on the knuckle of my toes. I always had black eyes, So many of my baby pics, I had black eyes because I had two brothers and we didn't have computers and video games. We caught tadpoles and watched them grow into teeny tiny toads and climb trees and put pennies on the railroad tracks. I'm not the only one fearful, clearly. It's a waste of time and energy. I'm tired and I don't want to fight with you anymore. Yeah, but none of that's true. It doesn't matter what he's portrayed as. I mean, I've been portrayed as shit. It's just not true. That was comment number 1. Comment number 2 from 11 hours ago. You do an accent, an English one, because the English one being used isn't the same. But then again, it's all voice acting and using voice changers, like when my friend, who is a police officer, called me saying weird, creepy things to scare me. I do startle easily, so blow a horn every 5 seconds and say Chris Shelton, who pretends to startle. It's something that happens. It doesn't even mean I'm afraid or nervous. Someone teach the body language expert that body language can't be properly read on everyone, especially people you don't know. I'm not on a Zoom call or making a show. Film yourself watching TV and see the difference. Nobody knows that cigarettes cause major allergies. For so many people, that's why it's banned in public, duh. What would be the reason I was snotty and itchy? What drugs makes a person snotty? Itchy, maybe, but hives and cold-like symptoms, literally everything possible was picked apart. No wonder I can't remember the second year. I probably couldn't handle it anymore. All I heard was bullshit and lies. Fun game, right? Want to be in a cult? No, I don't. And now I think fake people are real and don't know if my reality is real. And that's successful to who? The devil. Clearly, that's why God would place me here, then hoping one of you would knock it off, but you'll be 3 old men fighting over the same shit like the pic I shouldn't have looked up because 3 grandpa fucking each other isn't anything I needed or wanted to see. I don't think anyone wants to see that. Jack Wagon can roll away, spin his wheel, Bob Ferris, blah, blah. You had no right to tag me. You're it, and run away. Cat manager, light blue shirt, always acting there is no real personality. It gets eaten by another. Oh, understand the Pac-Man thing now. Ghosting yourself must be weird and hard and sad. This is all fucked up because I don't even know if it's true or you made it up based on what I thought. If someone gets arrested that I once knew and a baseball player's name and I'm supposed to understand that, I don't even believe anything and it won't be dismissed ever. Pretty amazing if you ask me. Pretty amazing. That is Jammy, everybody. The Moroccan Rose from 13 hours and 11 hours ago. So there you go.
If they tell me to fire someone, I fire them. If they tell me to whatever, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the one who makes those decisions. So, and transparency, that's kind of, you know.
So yeah, so I think this is one where.
So he's getting an HR manager that tells him when to fire. When I think she made some good points. She did to the Trump team, I'm sure. She might be named as fucking head of the Department of Education. Who knows? YouTubers,
people who cover this type of thing don't really understand that HR is a real living and breathing organism in business. Yep. And if you don't maintain it, it can become a problem for a normal business. But when your business is someone like you whose reputation is online, I also have like a bunch of businesses. I've got 16 employees, and we have an HR department. And like something happens once a month where someone gets an anonymous report, and then we have to solve that problem. And we actually
You're evil.
Yeah, and that's that's how it feels sometimes. Yep. But I'm not involved obviously in that stuff. And my YouTube side is very compartmentalized. So the way that I do that, it makes sense to me. I want to be as detached as much as possible from day-to-day operations of like the actual business. You're saying you're running the company. Is there a world in which what is your job title? Is there a world in which you step back and you're just like not an actor necessarily, but you're the guy, you're MrBeast, and you let the business be operated by an entity to where you can stand beside it essentially instead of being at the head of it?
No, I mean at the end of the day, it's my channel, it's my company, so I wouldn't take it that far. I think like the big thing is just bringing in people who have actually ran a company at this size before, because eventually I will be more educated and knowledgeable. Like every day I'm learning more on like how to properly run a company, tons of people and better do it. But I'm still very ignorant. Like I I probably crossed 100 employees like 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, but it's still just growing. So like across everything, you know, if you include festivals and view stats, we have over 400 employees. So it's a learning thing. But that's the thing. While I'm learning, I need to bring in people who have been there and, you know, learn from them.
Yeah, so there's no replacement for this experience, right? You can be as smart as anybody, but if you haven't been able to go through the things you've gone through and the things just personally that I know that I've gone through and learned from business, it's not possible.
That's twice the audio's changed. That's weird.
No, it's not possible to know how to react to those things, or you know, that's why I sort of try to do my best to compartmentalize my business. Obviously, different beast than what you're operating, but it's just, you know, yeah, it's just you know, it's difficult and it does make sense. And you've used the word ignorant a couple times. You know, I'd be interested to see how changes are made after this. Which you've already made a lot of changes. Obviously, anonymous reporting is the biggest one for HR.
Yeah.
That's like
and it's like that's one of those things where, you know, like it's not like I was like, oh, we don't need, I just didn't know. Like I never seen the data they showed me, and like if any other people have this kind of stuff, like I'm always open to learning.
Of course, yeah. I think the most important thing too is like at the end of the day, you've got.
All right, I'm gonna skip around some. You have to watch the full response here in a second.
Like it hurts me. It's like I don't no. It like obviously.
I don't think MrBeast was ever hurting for sponsors. Just because sponsors may have stepped down or changed or whatever, he's got sponsors lining up. Like he's probably got a waiting list of thousands of people who want to sponsor videos.
If they don't be rude, but they say no, just try to understand why, right? And a lot of times.
As the biggest content creator in the world to be even more ethical than is really necessary.
Yeah. The only thing is then, which I'm down. Like I want to keep brainstorming these things out. It's just like you said, like
Let's see how it ends.
Mentally or push them past their limits. It's just like create an environment where they can challenge themselves and do something interesting or cool. And that's what I'm saying.
I think that makes sense. It's important to note that it's also voluntary.
Yeah, it's a voluntary challenge. You
can leave it paid exponential amounts of money. Yeah. And you know, after all that stuff came out, and he sort of made the claims of how he was mistreated, etc. You reached out to him after the fact as well.
Yeah. I mean, now I didn't want to bring that kind of stuff up, but yeah, also off camera.
So the guy that they had in a room, isolated or whatever, for a challenge, and it was a nice room. He had like a bed, he had a pool table, he had all kinds of shit. Anyways, I don't know about the Prime show. I honestly don't. I don't know that Amazon ever said they weren't doing it. I don't know. But anyways, the guy felt bad because he didn't win the full amount because he didn't stay the full time. Jimmy reached out to him and offered to still give him the full amount because he reached out and he's like, I didn't know you were so bothered by this. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was that big a deal. And this still bothered you today. I will pay the full amount that, you know, you could have won, whatever kind of deal.
After he made the video, I reached out and was like, hey man, like obviously we weren't trying to cause you any, you know, mental stress with that video or anything. And is there any way I can help? And I ended up, you know, he seemed like he really needed some financial help. So I ended up seeing $50,000 completely off camera or anything. I mean, he talked about publicly so people know. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure he was good.
Oh wow, you took money from MrBeast after all that stuff. You said, yeah, this money, is this $50,000? Well, first of all, you got taxed it, so let's say it's more like $30,000. Yeah, I mean that's good. That's good. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's to me that one's interesting because it's just a sort of a voluntary challenge. And it's difficult to it's a very YouTube thing, right? It's a very YouTube thing. And
it's a volunteer challenge you can leave. So someone joked with him, and because they like they kept the lights on for like 24 hours for a while, and they're like, that's a war crime. But it's not, because you can leave at any point. You're not a detainee. You're not a prisoner.
That's like war crimes, fairly tone deaf. Yeah, to compare, like that's a ridiculous thing to say. Yeah. So yeah, we can move on from that. To be honest, there was litigation found against you surrounding Beast Games, your show on Amazon, in regard to unsafe workplace conditions, and a bunch of talk of, you know, files and videos and images and everything.
So this is the only thing I heard about MrBeast Games. So Amazon's given a show called MrBeast Games, where he has people on. It's like a competition. I would imagine. I don't know much about it. But there was unsafe work conditions on the show, and there was a lawsuit that was filed.
Sent to the documentaries and all this shit coming out in regard to the Beast Game show on Amazon. What is the litigation that?
Well, you know how litigation is. Obviously, I'm not allowed to talk about, which is a little. There's a lot of things I want to say here, so this is good. Trying to think specifically on the lawsuit. So for context, people have five anonymous Beast Game employees, or not employees, 5 anonymous Beast Game contestants submitted a lawsuit, and they sent it to the press, but conveniently all the actual claims are redacted, blacked out, so you can't actually see it. And I'm not allowed to disclose what's behind those black lines. But Beast Games, we had 1,000 people. We were doing big stuff, and just like with my normal videos, I'm not trying to say everything went great. Like one thing that happened when we were filming one part of Beast Games is, you remember CrowdStrike? That was pretty brutal. We had the most contestants of any game show in history together. That was weirdly got hates me during the CrowdStrike accident. And so as we're eliminating hundreds of people and trying to get them home, airports all across America are down, hotel room keys aren't working, and that created a lot of confusion, and that caused a lot of problems in our systems, and that was pretty brutal. And
so that was a hack. That didn't have anything to do with him.
So I'm not trying to just disavow everything. You know what I mean? There was one woman who when we were filming, we had obviously tons of feminine care products and stuff like that. But there was one woman who was allergic to the feminine care products, and we didn't have allergen-free ones like tampons and pads. And she told someone, I don't know who she told, I haven't been able to find it, but I believe that she did, that she was allergic, and they didn't obviously do the logical thing, which is tell us or just drive to local Walmart and buy some and give it to her. And so she wasn't able to get feminine care products in a reasonable time, which is unacceptable. And so I learned a lot of little things like that. But I think in general, a lot of it's just been blown out of proportion. People have claimed we didn't.
So she was allergic to the tampons they gave her for free.
Use unions because they didn't want to pay people fair money. When I was just flat out lie, we did use unions, and that there are dozens of broken bones, and which is crazy to think that I'd be 10 people broke their bones. Let's keep filming. I lie, we did use unions, and that there are dozens of broken bones, and which is crazy to think that I'd be 10 people broke their bones. Let's keep filming. You know what I mean? That doesn't even make sense. After that claim came out, we literally called 1,950 contestants of the 2,000. We couldn't get hold of all 2,000. I couldn't find a single broken bone. Yeah, online team claim there's dozens. I mean, there's so much misinformation, or even disinformation like that being spread. So which makes it hard.
That's what I heard, was that people were getting injured.
Come on, talk about things like the pad thing and other things where we did mess up on little things, and there are definitely things we could have done better. But then there's just it's mixed in with all these crazy.
I don't agree with the criticism. So his criticism is hey, this game sucked. It tortured me, and it was horrible, and I still have mental anguish from it. And the guy reaches out and says, hey, you know, is there something I can do to help you? And he's like, well, you know, I'm really struggling financially. And then he's like, well, I'll send you the money you would have won. What were you supposed to do? Say no? Hell no, I would have fucking took it.
Crazy outrageous claims, and it's like just so.
What about you not paying people?
I mean, we did, but yeah, that's something people like to leave out. We gave everyone who showed up. You could literally show up, and then a second later leave and receive $2,000, which with 2,000 contestants, that's $4 million.
Yeah.
And we told everyone they're gonna get $0. This is something like, you know, this is the damn damn So we told everyone no guaranteed money if you show up. I'm glad you asked this. No guaranteed money if you show up. Like you can walk away with $0. But then I wanted to surprise everyone. Give them each $2,000, $4 million, which is a lot of money. I could have gone and just bought a mansion instead of doing.
So he told them signing up, no guaranteed money. You may walk away with $0, and still fucking gave them every contestant $2,000 if they were there for 1 minute and left.
But what's even crazier is then people tried to, not like the contestants, but the internet, you know, their theories, tried to frame that as hush money. Like I gave them all $2,000 to like make them happy because we didn't tell them beforehand and like to surprise them as they got eliminated. And then people were like, you just did that because of hush money. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like I also didn't give them like legal paperwork tied with it. Like that's just like, it was just like completely baseless. It just shows like how crazy people go with conspiracy theories and everything like that. But yeah, we did pay everyone $2,000. And on top of that, we gave away more money than any competition show in history. I mean, we had the largest cash prize in history on top of millions upon millions. Like throughout the show, we literally gave away like 8 figures, $10 million. So it's like,
you guys should go watch all this. I think it's interesting. All the misinformation that's online. I think it's interesting. You should go watch the full video over on Oompaville's channel.
I do all this, and normal competition shows don't even pay anyone except for the grand prize. So it's like, it's just, once again, it's like funny because people actually compared it to reality. It's just not even in the same stratosphere.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of wild shit. How do you feel after all this stuff? You know, this is the first time you've been able to really speak in a broad, sweeping way about all the allegations and everything negative that's happened over the last couple months. Like, what do you think your biggest mistakes were?
Let me finish this. We'll cover something else.
We did it a couple times. I wish right after we dropped the results of that investigation, I could talk a couple weeks ago. I wish I just instantly did this. Sorry, I have a little bit of cold. The thing is, I've just never been in a controversy like this before, so I just, I mean, this isn't even a controversy, this is like 100 controversy. Yeah, so truthfully, I just was also just ignorant on how to handle these kinds of things, and so it's been a good learning experience for me. You know, I definitely realized, like, me just sitting on a couch, addressing a camera on serious things, like, just not my style. I put a lot of time into, like, trying to figure out how to, you know, not just be weird. I like this more, like, conversational, where you can also ask follow-up questions, and it feels a little more real, you know what I mean? And, like, it just, so in the future, I'll probably, like, if there's stuff like this, I'll probably just do something like this, you know what I mean? Or not. I don't know. If people throw out much more basic claims, I also want to set the precedent where every time
Doesn't Mr. Have, like, Crohn's disease or something?
I have to come on here, so, you know, give or take, but, yeah, honestly, I just kind of wish I did this sooner.
The guy literally started live streaming, like counting to 1 million, or reading the dictionary for fucking 48 hours straight, shit like that. And now it's this huge fucking YouTube channel.
Important to note as well, people are going to be like, well, he's media trained, he's got a PR team, he's a genius, he's going to walk circles around you, he's going to manipulate you, he's the Antichrist, he's the fucking devil horns guy. But like, you know, I'm asking questions.
Did you ask him if he was the Antichrist? He has to tell you. It's like police.
Team and I wrote based on information that's publicly available, and the assumption is after this, you're
Imagine being so dumb that you think the police have to tell you if they're undercover cops.
going to send receipts to back up any additional questions we have in the post process. You know, so that's what's huge. Like, I'm not trying to like debate.
I mean, there are definitely a couple things you asked me that I'm a little uncomfortable with. Like,
I can tell.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if that's what the internet wants to know, then I just want to give them what they have, so I can just wake up and, you know, obsess over making the best videos possible and that kind of stuff. Like I used to in the good old days, aka 4 months ago.
It's even worse because he. They say that, like the video he did I told you about earlier, where he had people got this surgery so they could literally brought eyesight to the blind. People are claiming that's the Antichrist performing miracles. Like,
the good old days.
What I want people to, because I get a sense you're winding things down. I just want to make very clear though, like, I'm not perfect, and I don't want people to think I'm trying to give off this impression you can't criticize me. Obviously there are things I've done in my life you can criticize me for. It's just this whole last couple months is a little unfortunate because they're like these things are, you know, sure I do deserve criticism, but then it's shrouded by these other disinformation. All these things are just being stretched and blown out of proportion and things like that. So I just want to like say like, I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. Even though I've done this, like this thing here, and we're addressing a lot of things, like I'm sure in the future I'll make more mistakes as well. Like I just, like that's just the nature of, you know, you really have to just put yourself in the position of like, we're doing things I've never done before. I'm like, who's even built a company this large on YouTube? Like everything I'm doing from the videos to the spectacles to the building companies, it's really never been done before. And your boy is going to make mistakes. And you know, one thing, just I hope my track record become aware.
I don't want to lie either. I don't want to say like he's just straight up a philanthropist. Like he's making millions of dollars. His friends are making millions of dollars. He's provided for his family. He's stacked his bank account. You know, his fiance or whatever is wealth. Everybody's wealthy around him, but he does do a lot of giveaways and contests and shit like that. Like just giving $100,000 to homeless people, shit like that.
Mistakes. How do I like? I do everything in my power to try to fix them. You know what I mean? And I hope that's what my track record shows, and that's what I hope people take away from it. Not that I'm like perfect or I never did anything wrong. That just like, yeah, I mess up, and when I do, I try to fix it. You know.
And if you had like a final message for critics and fans, what would the final message for critics be?
I think honestly what I just said there. I mean,
fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. And then your people who you know still, I guess there's not really they don't know about any of this stuff, so your fans don't really care.
I'd love to see what they think of this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel like we hit everything. I mean, you hit the Delaware thing because I saw that a lot, and I feel pretty good about it. There's nothing where I'm like, oh, we didn't hit this. Like, I think this should give people the answers they're looking for, and I feel better doing it.
Even the soggy stuff today, I mean, that's about as fresh as you get in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, just throw it up. Just upload this thing raw. Just throw it up there. Get this turned around before something else drops. It's like, oh, why did they talk about that?
Good point. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
That sounds good.
I'm gonna show up to one of these games.
Okay.
December 19th. I'm kidding.
Is that inappropriate? I feel like that's pretty.
Oh, it sounds like it's still going. He said December 19th.
Pretty MrBeast build. That last part was completely wrong. We did miss a few questions, and I called Jimmy the next morning to get clarification on a few more things, specifically Ava Shadman and some more of the crypto allegations. Here's that footage. We'll talk a little bit about Ava Tyson and specifically the Shadman stuff. I know we talked about the third-party investigation, which found no wrongdoing in like a legal sense from that perspective. The thing that a lot of people care about is Shadman's a fucking freak and is a disgusting person. Did you know about the painting in? Did you know about that? Have you ever interacted with Shadman before? Like, what is your relation to that, and specifically that relationship between Shadman and Ava Tyson and you?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good follow-up question. So this is what it was like. I don't remember these, 7, 8 years ago. Back then, I used to have like a bunch of anime posters up on the wall. I just like set a foundation for context. We used to have a bunch of anime posters and things like that on our wall in the house. And one day, Ava put up this poster that was like an animated character holding a fidget spinner and a gun. Admittedly, it's a weird image. I didn't know who made it. You know, I just kind of assumed it was a meme. I obviously did not know who Shadman was. I've never spoken with Shadman. I did not buy the poster or commission it or anything. And
Shadman draws some pretty fucked up shit. Like minor, he's the one who drew Keemstar's daughter giving Donald Trump a blowjob.
And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really think too much of it because we just had like a lot of anime posters and things up. There was an animated character that was clothed, obviously. And yeah, knowing what I know about Shadman now is a very weird thing to buy. I'm not really sure why she bought it, to be frank. And yeah, I mean, I wish I could give more details. I mean, this was so long ago. Obviously, I don't know the like exact thought going through my head, but I just remember, like, I agree, it's a little bit weird poster. But I also think, like, you know, I had like Naruto posters up, or I had like Code Geass posters, like random animes I used to watch. Like, you know, I never like reverse image search and Googled, oh, who made this Code Geass anime poster that's sitting on the wall or whatever. I don't, you know, I don't. Your first instinct when you just see a poster is not to just go, who made that, a deep dive on stuff. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I agree. Her buying is very weird, and obviously, if I had known what I know now, I would be like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, that's fair. Because I also, after all this stuff, I didn't know who Shadman was. I've heard of him a little bit on Twitter and shit, but I didn't know. Total ignorance there. So, okay, and that's just one that's important. You know, people, because that's fucked up. That guy is disgusting. And you know, people do care. It's like you've got pedo art that I was manipulated by Dogpack. But before that, you said that you DM'd some commentary guys or some YouTubers, like evidence of like the Delaware stuff. Basically context. And I just wanted to know. So you did reach out to me. We talked a little bit in the very beginning. You know, it wasn't like we're friends or anything like that. But it was very short, and like I just wanted to know why you didn't give me that stuff or provide me with any information when I was the biggest channel platforming Dogpack. I think that, you know, I would have taken it as my responsibility to I hope people, you know, would believe that I want to do what's truthful and I want to show the actual facts of the situation. I don't just want to like shit on MrBeast for the sake of shitting on MrBeast. I just want to know why early on you didn't provide me or yeah, I guess specifically why wasn't that? Did you think I was a controlled op? You know, I would have gladly seen whatever you would have shown.
That's actually a great question. I mean, we did have a call. I called you after the videos. And I told you and explained to you a lot of things that weren't true. You're right. I didn't send you that Delaware photo. I guess I just that. I might not have even had that photo at the time. So I literally called you right after you posted. Yeah. But I did tell you a lot of things weren't true and explain a lot of things. But yeah, agreed. I'm not throwing you under the bus. I didn't send you any full hard evidence. Maybe I guess I was a little hesitant because, you know, you did speak with him and it did seem like, you know, you were a little easy on him. So I guess I didn't fully know. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I did send it to people. Why I didn't send that to you? Honestly, I don't really know. To be honest.
It's fair, and it's just, you know, because I would have appreciated it is all I'm saying, because like you know, in the very beginning I did genuinely believe that, you know, I like the idea of whistleblowers. I think people should be able to criticize the guy. You're the guy. We said that a lot yesterday.
You was like, hey, off the top of my dome, there's a bunch of things that aren't true, and then you just said, hey, you probably did say something along the lines, I need evidence, and then you know, at the time that's where it's just like it's all blur. I don't even remember what days it was. Maybe back then was like when I was working on my response video or whatever. But agreed. Like I don't think you did anything wrong. Like
anyways, very good video. Go watch it. Oompaville's channel, 5.61 million subscribers. Go check it out. It's 2 hours and 21 minutes, and we just watched maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes of it. So go check out the other 2 hours. It looks like a good video. Let's see what this is.
Where was Trump's concession?
Obama spying on the Trump administration.
No,
yes,
true.
it was.
No.
This is proven true.
Democracy. So left wing. Oh, so you admitted that when Biden won?
I don't know. I feel like he looks like he's always crying. You know, he was crying. Luke Busy was crying election night, but now the more I see him, his eyes always look a little wet for wear.
That's what I thought. If you can justify this, I'm quitting my show. I'm joined today by Deborah Leah, who is a Trump voter, Trump supporter, lifelong Republican. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We have a new little set here to depict in colors our differences in opinions. And given the big news item being Trump's victory, it feels...
I do like how he's attempting to debate people, I guess. He's bringing in people from across the aisle.
Relevant to bring on someone who thinks this is the correct result when myself and the vast majority of
God, I haven't taken out my contacts. Fuck. I feel like I've been exposed. I don't take out my contacts ever. Actually, when I go to the eye doctor, he's like usually really... I kept a pair of contacts in one time so long that they broke down, left these little like broken down like gel bubbles on my eye. I took my contact out and then they had to use this like flat blade thing to scrape the jelly shit off my eye one time.
Audience thinks it's a horrible result. So give me a sense of why you voted the way that you did generally. I know that's a big question. And then we'll dive into it.
So overall, the biggest reason is my future. I'm 24 years old, and the direction that we've been heading in the last 4 years has just not made me confident in the future. It doesn't seem like I'd be able to afford a house under the Biden-Harris administration anytime soon. They printed ridiculous amounts of money, which made inflation go up the wall. Everything is so expensive.
You want to know something even more fucked up? I haven't been to the eye doctor in forever. I'm not even wearing my contacts. All I know is that my prescription is really close to Mariah's prescription. So I just order extra of Mariah's prescription and just throw them in. They work. That's really bad. Is I should go get my own contacts, shouldn't I? The reason I don't like to go to the eye doctor is because he gets mad at me for wearing my, and then he wants me to take out my contacts for like 6 months and let my eyes heal, whatever the fuck that means. And then, so like last time I went to the eye doctor, I still worked on the road. That's how long it's been. So like years ago, I was headed to Pennsylvania. I had to leave that night. I got an eye appointment. I was completely out of contacts. And I had to beg him to get, I was like, look, I can't, my job, like I can't work in my glasses, right? I don't have safety glasses. I don't have prescription safety glasses. I can't wear the big ass fucking goggles that like go over a standard pair of glasses. You have to give me contacts or I'm not gonna be able to go out of town and make money, right? And he like argued with me for a while. And finally he gave me 1 box of contacts and then made me promise when I got home from that job to wear my glasses for at least a month. And then I could come back and get more contacts. So that's why I never went back. I just order Mariah's contacts and throw them bad boys in.
And specifically living in New York, crime has gotten a lot worse with sanctuary city policies and the open southern border. So overall, I love the way that Donald Trump led the first 4 years. I think it was a great time in America. And the last 4 years, in my opinion, have been a dark time in America and a stain on our country's history. And especially the last few weeks where they switched out Joe Biden for Kamala, it was just completely anti-democratic. And so I'm really happy that Donald Trump won again. I did not know which direction it was going to go in. People were all asking me. I was like, I genuinely don't know. It could go either way. And to have such a landslide victory is unbelievable. And to win the popular vote, first Republican president in 20 years to win the popular vote, I think times are changing in America.
Isn't that telling, though? That the Republican candidate hasn't won the popular vote in 20 fucking years.
And ever since COVID, people are waking up. Their opinions are changing. They're not afraid to speak their minds. And so I voted for Donald.
Do I get headaches? Not vision headaches. I do get headaches, but it's sometimes it's from staring at a screen too long. Sometimes it's usually dehydration, mostly.
Trump to secure my future, have a safer and more prosperous America, and hopefully start healing the divide that we've been going through, which some may think.
I also don't breathe really good in my sleep. So sometimes I'll fall asleep like and then wake up with a really bad headache. And it's usually because lack of oxygen, I guess. I can actually make it go away by just sitting around a while and just like breathing deeply.
I think it starts with Trump. We'll get into that a little bit later, but overall, more peace around the world, less wars, and the wars in Israel, and the war of Ukraine and Russia, and just have a safer, better, more prosperous.
Thanks, it's from China.
World.
We're going to have a lot to talk about then. Let's start with, as I've explained to my audience a bunch of times, I'm curious to hear what your response is to it. You look at the record of Biden-Harris. They come into office. Trump has been wildly mismanaging. I don't know if you agree with that. This pandemic, part of the reason why we voted him out of office, he's not taking it seriously. We're being hit harder than so many other countries. He hands a crime spike, this economic disaster, a public health crisis to Biden-Harris. And then in their time in office, we've seen a recovery that's been stronger than our counterparts across the world. Inflation spiked, obviously, but it's kind of expected because of all the pandemic conditions. But what we did was get it down faster than our counterpart countries. Crime, you talked about, we've been watching it plummet in the United States since the Trump era spike. If by almost all the economic metrics we can compare, we're doing better than even our own Congressional Budget Office projections pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, how is that something you could say they made worse when the affordability problems you're talking about, some are longstanding and then some are a product of the pandemic, a global phenomenon?
Yeah, so specifically, I think all of these, you can look at what the numbers are coming out or what they're telling us that we should feel, and then you can talk to real Americans who are experiencing this to say that our economy is better now than it was 4 years ago. It's just blatantly...
We were in the middle of the pandemic 4 years ago.
Okay, fine. Maybe, let's say 2018, okay?
But isn't that like the fallacy that we would compare pre-pandemic to post-pandemic when a big part of the Biden mandate was just getting us out of that crisis?
Well, you brought up COVID, so let's first address that. Did you not support Operation Warp Speed? Because if it were not for Donald Trump allowing and creating Operation Warp Speed, we would have never gotten the vaccine as soon as we did. I think no president in the history of the world had ever been prepared for a pandemic of the likes that we had with COVID in this country. It was something completely different that rocked the world. And
didn't she just immediately change the topic? I know it's a sign of sleep apnea. It's actually better. I've lost like 60, almost 60 pounds. I'm coming up on 60 pounds. It's actually a lot better now, but...
like I believe it was Chuck Schumer, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in New York, they were telling us in the beginning, all the Democratic leaders, don't buy masks, don't wear masks, don't do it. And then a few months later, you need masks. No, it was like the first 2 months because my family worked in healthcare in New York. And so we were able, exactly. Yeah. So they were saying it's Chinese fear tactics to start wearing masks and all this stuff. There was, you can look that up.
Yeah. To answer one of your questions, I do support Warp Speed. Most of Trump's base doesn't, but that's something that I think any president would have done, which is essentially, hey, we're going to pre-purchase these vaccines. We're going to inflect resources into this effort. And actually the science had been progressing such that it's expected we would have had a vaccine sooner because of the new technology. And the Obama administration was preparing for a pandemic and then Trump shut down that initiative.
Why were they preparing for a pandemic? Do they expect something to be coming?
Because a bunch of medical professionals and scientists are saying that, yeah, the globalization and they can predict
something.
See, she's almost like, she seems so normal. She seems so fucking normal. And then they like flirt with conspiracies. Why would they be prepared for a pandemic? Were they expecting something? No one planned it, but we should always be ready for a pandemic. They've happened historically, and we should have like a group of fucking people that is looking out and saying, what could the next one be? What might we have to do? Is there a strategic supply of things that we could have prepared? Shit like that's the good things about the government.
They know exactly what it's going to be. But
I can't prepare for a pandemic. I just fucking can't. I mean, I guess I could become a prepper and dig a fucking bunker, but I can't prepare the population for a pandemic. The government can.
But yeah, something could happen just because of how crazy transportation.
But I disagree that any president would do that. I think the
you don't
difference
think when a pandemic hit, any president would invest in vaccines?
I don't think in the speed that Trump did it. I think he's a businessman. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is a businessman.
Other countries got it similarly quickly.
I don't care about other countries. We're the United States of America. I care about us. And
Wait a second. Other countries developed theirs almost in the same timeline.
Really, we've been comparing our economy to other countries. Like, I know how great America can be, and that's why I'm just focused on American exceptionalism, and that has not been a theme under the Biden-Harris administration.
She just keeps changing the topic every time. So this is all about, should we compare pre-pandemic to post-pandemic economy? Well, if you want to talk about the pandemic, what about these masks and blah, blah, blah? And Trump got the vaccine so fast. Well, other countries got their vaccine pretty fast too. Wouldn't you think that other presidents would do the same thing? Well, I'm talking about America and about exceptional America is, and that hasn't been the topic of the last administration.
Dominating the globe in a recovery.
In 2 world wars?
In a recovery.
In a recovery? I mean, I think
by every single metric, we've been outpacing all of the comparable economies in a recovery. And then the point I made earlier was some people say, well, that's just because we're the United States, that would have happened anyways. But even if you compare it to our projections with how our economy would be performing before we knew there was going to be a pandemic, we're already back outpacing our Trump era expectations. You see what I mean?
I think the data under, I don't have it right in front of me, but I know that under the Biden administration, at least when it comes to like inflation and numbers, they were comparing it to the month before. So when they're like, inflation is down, or we only have this level of inflation, that's an increase of the previous month. So it's like data plays a role here. And as far as COVID, it's been 4 years now. We've had some crazy things, 3 assassination attempts on the United States president. We had the Democratic candidate swapped out. A lot of big things have happened. But I do remember when Donald Trump wanted to shut down travel in this country, and a lot of people were not supporting him in that, shutting it down. He asked China to shut down their airports. There was a lot of studies that show if the airports had shut down about 2 weeks earlier, we could have contained the spread by a lot. A lot of people are saying he was xenophobic or whatever, anti-Chinese for saying this virus was coming from China. We need to limit our flights, like Wuhan, all of
transportation
that.
shutdown was not what people called that. They called that because he was saying like
the China virus, because it came from China.
Right, but you understand what that led to in terms of people in the United States who are being identified as Chinese. Oh, Wuhan virus, China, whatever.
I think, that I don't support hating individuals, but I do support holding China accountable for releasing a virus.
The whole MAGA argument depended, which is why I think I agree with you. You're totally 100% correct.
God damn, she's touched on 200 topics, and there's only been 3 questions.
Americans, at least those who voted, their feelings align more with what you're saying. That doesn't mean that the facts.
I don't personally believe that you can call somebody an exceptional businessman when they're hawking NFTs, Bibles with country music artists, fucking fake Air Force Ones made in China. Like, is that a businessman or is that a con man? And by the way, people buy that because they think it'll help him get reelected. You know, none of that went to the campaign, right? They just went in his pocket.
Align with what they're saying, and it's a bummer that people who advocate your position are misleading people into thinking that the underlying.
I think we should do a show where we research PACs and super PACs. So PACs have a limit to how much you can donate. They have a limit to how much they can spend, and they can work hand in hand with the candidate. Super PACs have no limits. They can take from individuals and corporations, but they have to be completely separate. So they can make a commercial saying, fuck Kamala Harris, Donald Trump's the best, but they can't be at the direction of the campaign. They can't have any interaction with the campaign.
Underlying conditions that cause people to vote against the incumbent party, as we've seen in a lot of the Western world nations, that those were because of bad governance, when actually by all the data judging it, we can say that Biden and Harris have handled the recovery more effectively than probably Trump would have. The fact that we exploded out of the crisis like we did so strongly and then got inflation down more quickly is just proof that we accomplished the soft landing that all of the pundits, I'm sure yourself, said was impossible.
To get out of the COVID-19 crisis?
Without going into a recession.
Well, I think we have been nearing a recession for a few years now. It's been interesting how the economy has been kind of getting close and then going up and down a little bit.
We've been on fire.
The last 2 months, but in the past 3-4 years.
No, my point is that, so we were in, I don't know, I guess it's called a recession, but we were in that economic downturn because of the shutdowns, because of the pandemic. And then, as Biden takes over, there's this whole MAGA salivating over, oh my gosh, we're going to go into a recession because we shut out of the pandemic because of all that relief. And the thought process is, as the Fed tries to bring down inflation, that's going to pull us into a recession. And everyone kept predicting, I know you've been on Fox Business before, it would drive me crazy every day on Fox Business, where it's not a matter of if, but when the recession is going to happen. And then instead, we just continue to recover, continue to get inflation down quickly, and don't go into a recession.
We have a huge debt. We have $31 trillion in debt. When I was in high school, it was 20, and Biden kept adding. So if he wanted to actually care about the economy, he would rein it in.
Trump added more than almost anybody.
Yeah, but you can change a budget. You can always edit a budget.
First year in office, he decreased the deficit.
By what policies? What did he change in the budget? What did he move around?
A lot of it was just cutting down on the relief stuff.
Well, I guess then that's not reliable to like what actually happens is if you just cut the relief that Trump had set up for him. But it's not a bad faith argument. It's that the policies that Trump's instituted and the ideas that he was putting forward and the things he did, like opportunity zones, created the lowest black unemployment rate in history. Opportunity zones are incredible.
Down what Obama handed him, but
is this unemployment rate?
Yeah.
Can you go to
black
unemployment rate? Because I know that under Trump that was the lowest in history. And those are from Trump's. No, Trump created the opportunity zones.
I'm saying that Biden got it down lower than Trump.
You're giving Biden way too much credit. That guy's not even alive. He has gotten us into 2 foreign wars.
Okay, so Biden got it. So Trump had it the lowest it's ever been. No, Biden had it lower than Trump had it. Well, you're giving Biden a lot of credit there.
wars. Donald Trump was the only president in recent history.
What?
If
He got us out of a war, and then all of us
Ukraine and Russia, or Israel and Hamas.
We're not in a
That was
war.
the most embarrassing pull-out of all time.
And Trump
what
wants
he
to
did
do it.
when
Why do you
Biden did in
think so many-
Afghanistan was the
what-
worst thing a president has ever done, to pull out soldiers before civilians, to leave the Kurds there, and we had been supporting them for years.
Why do you
A
think
black hawk in the hands of the Taliban? That's
Why do you
embarrassing.
think a lot of the
Shameful.
arguments we went through there we've addressed before in their inaccuracy? But why do you think so many presidents did it before Biden? Because I agree, a lot of things went wrong. A lot of things went wrong, but that's what happens when you try to get out of a 20-year war.
No, it's not. You can do it in a
You can
smart
do it.
way.
Well, then why didn't Trump?
Trump was working on it. He said he would like to bring Trump
because he was scared.
Because there are ways to
and
do
he made a
it.
deal with the Taliban that Biden was
He made a deal with the Taliban? What deal did he make with the Taliban?
Trump signed an agreement with the Taliban to pave the way for significant drawdown of U.S. troops in Afghanistan by the end of that year, in exchange for guarantees from the Taliban that the country would not be used for terrorist activity. But then the Taliban broke the deal, but Trump didn't do anything and kept attacking Afghan forces.
So it seems like he was working toward world peace by trying to make a deal that says, you don't kill any of our soldiers.
And we'll hand it over to you, I guess.
Where does it say we'll hand it over?
No, I agree.
The country won't be used for terrorists. That's not true at all.
And then they didn't even abide by the deal. And then we
can't trust terrorists.
So let's get into what I find to be the most consequential part of any political discussion lately, with Trump in the picture. And
She's wild, dude. She's wild.
he was someone who, in a lot of ways, comes off more reasonable than, someone I might talk to at like a rally or something. I don't know how you...
They all seem like lunatics, though. I don't understand it. They all seem... And I think some of them are probably smart. But you can't come across as smart and still toting the things that Trump wants to say. The people that come across smartest to me that support Trump are the ones that's like, well, I don't actually agree with him on that. Or at least say, I don't think he'll actually do that. I think he just said that for the hype. Or I don't actually agree with him on this policy. But the people that agree with everything he's ever done ever, they seem so fucking dumb.
Square this. Trump lost the election, then assembled fraudulent electors trying to get those counted by Pence, then said peacefully and patriotically, but clearly lied people into storming the Capitol, even if you don't think they meant to make them go there. And then the followers wanted to, some of them paying Mike Pence for not doing the fake elector scheme and rejecting the certification and violating the Constitution. Trump sat there, waited way too long to call them off, never really called them off, but said,
No, he didn't call them off directly. He said, go home.
Hours later. And
an hour and a half into it. Yeah.
90 minutes watching it on TV?
There was a regular rally going on at that time. The Capitol was a whole different situation. There was an actual rally.
You don't dispute. He said,
It was way over that time limit, whatever he just said. It was 187 minutes. It was 3 hours and 7 minutes.
Can you go to the black unemployment rate? Because I done to pull out soldiers before civilians. He made a deal with the Taliban? What deal did he make with the Taliban?
Trump signed an agreement with the Taliban to pay the Taliban. And you as someone who...
She didn't even know that he signed a deal with the Taliban. That was Trump's deal to pull us out.
It comes off more reasonable than, someone I might go there. And then the followers wanted to, some of them paying Mike Pence for not...
No, he didn't call them off directly. He said, go home.
Hours later. And
an hour and a half into it. Yeah.
90 minutes watching it on TV?
There was a regular rally going on at that time. The Capitol was a whole different situation. There was an actual rally.
You don't dispute. He sat there and watched people storm the Capitol, right?
No, he was giving... How could he sit there and watch it when he was giving a speech? People started raiding the Capitol while he was speaking.
He posted Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what he should have while he was in the White House watching it.
But regardless. He was giving a speech. When he was... That timeline's off. Donald Trump was having a rally in D.C. at the same time that people were being let in by Capitol Police to the building.
How do we do
Wrong.
elections in America if people lie about them and then say they should be overturned? And then
way before the Capitol was breached, the rally was already over. There were people there, right? There were people there while he was still speaking. People got there, started trying to move closer, but when the Capitol was breached, the rally had been over for a while.
Engage in, now these cases have been dropped because he became president, which is crazy, and then engage in allegedly illegal activities like the fake elector scheme to keep yourself in power. How do we have elections?
These cases have been dropped because they were fraudulent cases against him in the
They
beginning.
only dropped when he won.
He had people, they had a scheme to hide people in the basement of the local courthouse because they knew they wouldn't let his electors in the next day, and they wanted to push them through anyways. So they were going to hide his electors, even though he didn't win, his slate of electors in the basement of the courthouse.
And so why do you think he has some power in the government?
No, it's just...
They only brought against him in the first place because he won. If Donald Trump never took presidential office, he would not have all these charges against him.
You're right,
But in terms of generations, no, because he wouldn't become the left's Hitler. They think he's literally Hitler. They will do anything up to assassinate this man. They've had 3 assassination attempts.
By the way, I think Matt Gaetz was tapped for the wrong position. If anything, they should have had Matt Gaetz as something to do with a liaison for higher education, right? AG, are you shitting me? Look how many women he was trying to put through college. Are you kidding me? He should be the adults or minor higher education commissioner. Look at this. He's putting everybody through college. That is wild. Talk about student loan debt forgiveness. They should have taken him and yeah, we could have found him a position. This or girls volleyball coach, I think, is the 2 jobs we should have been looking out for Matt Gaetz. Girls volleyball season is coming up, so he's going to be pretty busy. He's going to be pretty busy over the next few months. But then, right?
left?
Yes, it is.
What about the one guy who was like a Republican?
We've had Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
That was leaked from the Department of Justice investigation to the Washington Times.
We've had Joe Biden.
It was leaked. It was from the Department of Justice investigation given to the Ethics Committee, then leaked to the Washington Times.
Harris saying for years that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, that he is a national threat. You speak about rhetoric like that for a duly elected Democratic president,
Like, imagine
and then
calling someone
you're
fascist
shocked
and a
that somebody,
communist like Trump did.
and then you're shocked that somebody would want to kill him. Like
I agree
the
no one
left
should
has
try
set up
kill him.
everything
Totally.
to try and get people to
So
kill
then
him, and then they're
what do you
shocked.
say about Trump calling Harris a communist?
She
and
is.
fascist?
Communism is an actual
And a fascist.
ideology.
But she is. So someone calls Trump a communist, then they try to kill him. But what do you think about him calling Kamala Harris a communist? She is.
Believes
And he
in
said
wealth
she's the threat to
redistribution.
democracy.
She believes in.
Everyone believes that with taxes. In
No,
some
no,
level.
we don't. We believe that my money is my money, and the government doesn't get a hand in it.
How do taxes work, you dumb bitch? Taxes are literally wealth distribution. Who do you think pays the majority of taxes in the United States? Yes, they have tons of tax breaks, but their tax bills are still gigantic. It's the wealthy. And where do you think that money goes?
That is conservative principles, are that taxes are theft. And
Okay,
Kamala
well,
Harris
I'm not
wanted
gonna
to cut taxes. She wants to raise taxes. She wants to
That's my
unrealized
point.
gains.
That's
She
my
would destroy this
point.
economy.
Whenever Trump says something super provocative about Vice President Harris, you're okay with
I don't think she would have ever gotten unrealized gains taxed through.
Because calling somebody a communist,
And
She may have never even pursued it.
who actually
and
believes
she's going to
in
end elections,
communist policies.
which she doesn't, obviously. She's super
She does
capitalist,
believe her ideology, everything.
enhanced child
Taxing
tax credit.
unrealized gains,
Communism.
giving more money to families. Whose money is that coming from? My paycheck.
I missed what you just said. What?
That you want to give more money to
And
just
I would love to
families.
talk about that. Yes, God forbid. But
No,
my
I think
point
that you
my
can't
point
just print money and give away my money.
And
It's
that's
my
why
money I
Democrats
worked
have a better
for.
record on deficit, so I agree. But how?
You realize there's a child tax credit right now, right? And Trump didn't stop it, and no one else is going to stop. There's a child tax credit right now. They were talking about expanding it.
Do you say that Trump?
I cannot wait till the Matt Gaetz report comes out. Dude, I've been watching. We haven't covered them here because I'm hoping it leaks and we can cover it all at once. But I've been watching the women's lawyer that went to the ethics committee or whatever, and the stuff that he's saying.
Saying she's going to end elections in America. She's the.
He got two women that he paid for sex, took them to New York to make him watch an appearance on Fox News, then took him to see the Broadway play of Pretty Woman. It's a little on the nose, don't you think, Matt Gaetz? You took two prostitutes to see the Broadway play about the prostitutes. Then you paid them for being prostitutes.
Fascist. All quotes we can play for you if you like is not the exact same as what we do to Trump, except for re-election. You know what? Trump actually tried to stop elections.
No,
Do you remember?
you guys think Trump's Hitler. You have said that since before.
He's
You
not
said
Hitler.
you started
He
off
says
with
he's-
Stop the count. Stop the count. We won. Stop the count.
Russian
Hitler.
code. No, he has never.
You're right.
You've
He
started
said
off
some
with
good
the
things.
Russian. No, you started off. Not you.
You don't
The
believe
left
the
has started off
Oh.
with the Russian hoax for 4 years, saying that
Oh.
Donald Trump
Russia.
colluded with Russia. They did everything, which started off in the Steele dossier, which
Yeah.
turned out to be Obama spying on the Trump administration.
Nope, not
Yes,
true.
it was.
Nope.
This is proven
Nope.
true. And
They were tapping Russian agents, and all of a sudden, Trump campaign officials were communicating with them. We're like, wow, we didn't mean to do
everything
that.
about the Russia coalition and this and that, it was all a huge ass hoax to
Imagine saying they were trapping Trump's phone when they were actually tracking Russian infiltrators and agents. Then suddenly Don Jr. hops on the line with one of them. You'd never know if you wouldn't have been tapping the Russians' phone calls.
try and get. Sorry,
Except for August. No, you can swear we believe it out of his mouth.
Donald Trump, you guys, not you, I don't want to say only you, but the
Me,
left,
blame me.
it was all your fault. You're seeing it. The left for 4 years straight had a 24/7 news night cycle.
A bunch of
about
indictments in
Donald
Trump's
Trump.
campaign. A bunch of people were connected to Russia concerningly. You're right.
What? Please, we're speaking facts.
Rachel Maddow went a little. I admit, a lot of people like her.
What
went
Russian
far.
operative worked on
Went too
Trump's
far. No, worked on his campaign. There were all of these communications going on between staffers, not Trump. You're right, but staff people and individuals in Russia. Just like how currently there are concerning. We found out there was actual interference by Russia. Doesn't mean Trump was elected illegitimately, obviously, because we don't say things about the election like that. As you're
I think you should check Twitter. Every liberal's having a field day saying Trump stole the election.
Have you seen?
So it clearly goes both sides. That's what I'm saying. You want to
No.
you and Joe Biden have done the same thing where you say we're the MAGA people. No, but you're using the same rhetoric where you're saying you MAGA people. You MAGA people.
Where was Trump?
Harris conceded. Joe Biden said peaceful transfer of power, invited him to the White House. Wants to make his transition as easy as possible.
Election was one of the most non-secure elections in history. I was living in Maryland at the time, right around here. The mail-in
We're not
ballots,
going
the
to mail-in
changed
ballots,
policies, the lack of IDs, every single thing. That was a not secure election.
It's not
We
true.
know about that.
Then why is it that Trump's Attorney General,
true?
Trump's cybersecurity expert, Trump's investigator to find fraud, the dozens of court cases, the audits, the recounts,
And Trump tried to fire the temporary head of the Department of Justice just to put somebody in there that would say that there was election interference.
What are the other things? Other ways of investigating?
I'm not saying that's what the difference is. I'm not saying the election was stolen in the sense
So
that
then stop saying it.
I
You're
didn't
a
say
counterpart,
it.
not you.
I didn't say
Right.
that. I can't control what other people say. I'm pro free speech. I'm pro free speech. I can't go. I'm not going to ever censor somebody unless it's something I truly believe is like a hateful rhetoric and try to explain the difference. But this is what I want to get across. I've never once said that the election has been stolen in a sense of people stuffing ballot boxes across the country. This, that.
So do you know if Trump said that?
Every single. I'm talking about myself right now. Every single person went to sleep at 2 in the morning. They saw the map was red. We woke up. Suddenly the election has
called
changed.
counting votes.
But the difference is no. Really, it just
Yeah.
changes overnight. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, just
Like
like,
in some
all these
states.
ballots are being chopped off. But the point is, I am trying to actually make a real point here. Where I've
So everybody acts like Russia was a full-blown hoax. It wasn't. There were tons of ties, backroom ties, staffer ties, administrative ties with Trump, including the fact that Trump's own fucking son met with a Russian agent because they thought they were going to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. An official campaign meeting with a Russian agent.
never said that the election was stolen in a sense like that. But it would be wholly dishonest to not say that there are so many factors that go into election integrity down, and there's so many biases that also affect the election outcomes, like a media bias. I've given a lot of speeches about this across the country. No, a media bias in the sense of, see, you're doing the same thing again. I'm not trying to tear it apart. I'm trying to actually make a point that media bias.
Like an entire news network dedicated to sucking Trump's dick, right?
Objective on left, right, center, wherever you want to go. Giving 20 hours of airtime a day to one candidate. Let's say Donald Trump got to talk on CNN 20 hours a day unfiltered, and Kamala Harris only got 4 hours in the election. That's media bias. They're not giving fair time. Like with SNL, was it SNL? Where they gave Kamala Harris a skit, so Donald Trump chose Sunday Night Football. I don't think it was The View. No.
Okay, yeah,
it was some liberal show where she went on, and then they're like, now legally you have to give the same amount of airtime to Donald Trump, and he chose Sunday Night Football, which is so classic Donald Trump. It's just like pops up in a MAGA.
Okay.
But the point is,
media bias has been around always. It always will be. That doesn't.
Media bias not in the
make
sense of
legitimate
favorability
election.
and timing. These are all factors. Not in like CNN hates Trump and Fox loves Trump. Not that media bias. Timing. How much that's a form of
They
media
give way more
coverage.
platform to Trump.
And CNN gives it to all Democrats. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying CNN and MSNBC.
All right. Attorney General and former Senator from Alabama, Jeff Sessions, during the presidential election campaign, met twice with Russian ambassador to the U.S. Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, former ExxonMobil CEO, did business with Rosneft and Gazprom, which is a Russian energy giant owned by Russian state and an oil company majority owned by Russian government, who is Igor Sechin, who has a personal relationship with Tillerson, is president of Gazprom, which is a Russian energy giant owned by the Russian state, and Vladimir Putin. Michael Flynn, former national security advisor. There's a whole detailed part about Michael Flynn. He appeared on and was paid by RT, which is Kremlin-funded propaganda network. He was a former Trump national security advisor, resigned in February after offering inaccurate account of his contacts with Sergei Kislyak, a Russian ambassador to the U.S. As the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency in 2013, he visited the headquarters of the GRU, Russia's military intelligence agency. We have Carter Page, Trump political advisor, along with two other advisors, met in July with top managers from Rosneft, which is an oil company majority owned by Russian government. And he owns shares in Gazprom, which is a Russian energy giant that we just talked about. And he met with Sergei Kislyak, who's the Russian ambassador. Roger Stone, former business partner of Paul Manafort. He met with a mystery person who tipped Stone to Hillary Clinton campaign emails would be published by Julian Assange, hosted on RT, the Russian Kremlin-funded propaganda network. Material that WikiLeaks published during the election was reportedly hacked by the GRU, which is the Russian military intelligence. Paul Manafort is a GOP operative, Trump campaign manager until mid-2016, and he's got his own flowchart. He's a one-time business partner of Dmitry Firtash, a Ukrainian oligarch who got a sweetheart business deals from associates of Vladimir Putin. He was advisor to Viktor Yanukovych, I think, former president of Ukraine, received financial backing from Firtash, a political ally of Vladimir Putin. He was a former business partner with Roger Stone as a GOP operative, one-time business partner of Oleg Deripaski, who's a Russian oligarch who is close to Vladimir Putin. He was a business associate of Konstantin Kilimnik, a Ukrainian political operative formerly affiliated with the GRU, Russian's military intelligence, with ties back to Vladimir Putin. Donald Trump, Miss Universe pageant hosted in Moscow in 2013 by Trump and Aris Agalarov, who's a Russian oligarch who has received major construction contracts from the Kremlin. Sergey Milan is Trump associate, head of Russian American Chamber of Commerce. One alleged information source for the dossier. Private document alleges ties between Trump and the Russian government. The Trump Organization, international conglomerate that compromises Trump's business ventures and investments. Mysterious private server connected to Alfa Bank, the largest private commercial bank in Russia. He's friends with Fedor Emelianenko. He's a mixed martial arts star, former Trump business partner, and friend of Vladimir Putin. Felix Sater, who's a business associate of Trump. Now, Felix Sater pled guilty in stock fraud scheme with ties to the Russian mafia, reputedly has ties with Dmitry Firtash, who's a Ukrainian oligarch who got a sweetheart business deal from Vladimir Putin. You'll see it repeated a lot. U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies have documented extensive links between Russian organized crime and Vladimir Putin. He was indicted in stock fraud scheme with Russian mafia ties, including with Saul Loria, who's an FBI informant and convicted felon who brokered a $150 million deal with Felix Sater, with FL Group, an Icelandic hedge fund tied to Putin, invested in Trump's Soho project via Loria. We have Donald Trump Jr., Trump's son and co-manager of his business, spoke at an event held by a French think tank run by Fabien Bassiart, along with his Syrian-born wife, Rhonda Cassis, who cooperated with Russia in its efforts in the Syrian civil war. Bassiart also nominated Putin for the Nobel Peace Prize. Weird tie. Ivanka Trump, Trump's daughter, friend of Wendy Dang, ex-wife of Rupert Murdoch, friend of Roman and Dasha Abramovich, oligarch and socialite wife, friends of Vladimir Putin. Wendy Dang is rumored to have dated Putin, but she denies it, friends with Ivanka Trump. Her husband, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, a White House advisor, met in Trump Tower with Michael Flynn and Sergei Kislyak, a Russian ambassador to the U.S. Like, there were tons of ties to Russia. Literally tons. Are they stuff that we could probably prosecute on people on? Maybe if it was nitpicky and that's the way we wanted to go, is just not do anything to Trump, but prosecute everybody around him. And some of those people were prosecuted. There were tons of ties to Russia. Was some of it bullshit, just word of mouth and people talking shit? Sure. But there were tons of legitimate ties to Russia.
A big thing people were critical of with them is they propelled Trump to the level that he got to because they were so fixated with just broadcasting his speeches unfiltered whenever he first got into politics. You remember the empty podium meme?
I don't remember the empty podium meme. It's been very... I was 16 when Trump won. I was 16 when Trump won. It was very bad. But the point I'm trying to make here is that there's a lot of factors that go into election
integrity. That doesn't mean you get to lie about them, though.
What have I lied about?
Trump, you support him. And I'm saying, how do you think...
That's not a lie. I support Trump. What's lying about that?
No, I'm not saying...
That's the freaking truth.
I'm not saying you supporting him is a lie. I'm saying Trump is lying and you're supporting him.
What? On specific...
On his entire election lie. He still hasn't conceded the race. You know how vile that is? Wait, okay. Let's do this. Would you be okay... Or would you find it? I'd find it disqualifying, for example, if now that Trump has won, Kamala Harris and Biden, if they engage in an effort to block the fight for power and try to give Biden a second term, even though Harris lost, or install Harris as president, putting together fraudulent electors, pressuring local officials to find votes, and then a mob attacking the Capitol, and then every single day after.
Imagine if we find out on January 6th, what they would do if we find out on January 6th that Trump's electors got delayed in an airport and only Kamala Harris electors showed up, even though she didn't win those states, and they're going to try to certify. She's going to try to certify her own electors.
After the election, if Biden and Harris were stoking fear and distrust in our elections, that would be terrible. Did you see their speeches?
I saw Kamala Harris' speeches. This was something that I wanted to talk about. I think two things can be true at
once.
Please.
You think Kamala Harris wants certification of the election? That's what Trump wanted Vince to do.
But he didn't do it.
But he wanted
Vince to do it. Everybody wants everything. We need to talk about facts about what actually happened.
No.
I'm not going to be put into a box to say that I believe a certain thing that I don't. I don't believe that election was a secure election.
If you hire a hitman and then the hitman doesn't successfully kill the person, that doesn't mean you didn't try to hire a hitman. He tried to...
Okay, this is Donald Trump. This is a different situation. He's had a lot of hitmen against him. Okay, we don't need any more.
Not a hitman.
Well, they weren't so successful, thank God. But
She won't admit that he was trying to do the fake elector scheme. Like, just because it didn't work. That's Ben Shapiro's. Ben Shapiro will outright say that, yes, Trump was attempting to subvert the election results as reported, right? But it didn't work. So there's nothing there.
Overall, things are nuanced in our politics, and I think two things can be true at once. Three things even. The election was not secure. It was not a secure election. We should not be attacked.
It was. I get that you're saying, well, I don't agree with everything Trump said, but you're acting as if it's Trump's stance on fracking or something, like you might bring with hairs. But this is not some policy stance that we can debate on. This is, are we going to participate in our democracy? Are we going to mutually commit to accepting election results when all of the legal avenues prove that it was secure? And what y'all's side is doing is you expect us to accept it, and we do, which is what keeps this going. And you're going to say some people online, that's not what I'm talking about. People in positions of power, those are the people that we're judging.
The popular vote margin was the narrowest popular vote margin since Bush Gore in 2000.
Our people in positions of power accept the results, as aggravating as they are, and as fishy as it is that Elon Musk would buy a platform and help Trump with it. Like, there are things we go, but we won't. But then y'all's side really is willing to throw democracy out the window, where Trump was trying to get fake electors to be counted.
You guys are mad when we accept election results. You guys are mad. Like, you guys are never going to be happy with us, and that's why we don't care to please you guys. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I hear you.
I think now that they've counted most of the votes, she passed how many votes Trump got in 2020. Obviously Trump passed her with an extra like 2.5 million, but she's about remember everybody's like 20 million votes are missing. She's about 7 million votes behind Biden, something like that.
And I think Biden should be allowed to count. It comes from a left-wing mindset.
Or behind Trump, behind Biden's results from 2020.
If you can justify this, I'm quitting my show. Trump hosted that back in, I think it was 2023.
2022. Should I read it out loud? So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception in working closely with big tech companies, the DNC, the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party, do you throw the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful...
And it was still a higher turnout than normal. It was, so typically about 50% of people vote, somewhere around there. It was 63.7 in 2024, but it was 65.8 in 2020.
Winner, or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Our great founders did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. So is there a question attached to this, or what do you want me to do with this?
Up to you. Ball's in your court. The termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution.
I have never come on to claim, and this is an honest answer.
How do you support someone after they say that?
Because Kamala Harris would have been the destruction of America as we know it. And so when I'm up against the wall, it's not like I'm Kamala Harris.
So then you're like, man, terminate the Constitution. I know you're not saying you want that, but I'm saying
in that moment,
justify.
I don't think January 6th was a good thing. But I also am never going to say that it was a secure election. It was not a secure election.
2 years later, Trump is going, the election was stolen, so you can terminate all rules, regulations, and articles.
That was actually a year after the inauguration, so that would be a year after the certification.
You're going to do that to me?
Yes, December 2022. He was inaugurated in January.
A year later. Oh, now it's different. No, okay.
And there were a lot of cases. You have to acknowledge if we're going to speak.
Do you at least see how, separate from me thinking Trump not good for the economy, all the things that we could argue until... Don't you agree that it's like, did you support Trump in the primary?
For Republican? Yes.
So among other Republicans, like Chris Christie, for example, who doesn't think saying terminate the Constitution is acceptable, you went, no, let's do the guy. What?
Republican.
Principled. How do you ever support someone after they say, because I'm claiming the election was stolen, but that hasn't been proven in the court of law, I'd say there's no proof. You say there's some proof, but we all agree it hasn't been proven in the court of law. And then because of my belief of that, it's justified to terminate all of the parts of the Constitution. And the reason I bring this up so much is because the explanation is always like, there's never anything thoughtful.
How can they be constitutionalists or patriots or say we should go back to just the Constitution, which is what a lot of them say. They'll even argue that some laws can't be prosecuted because it's not in the Constitution. But then Trump says, when I think I won the election and everybody's telling me I didn't, we can terminate the rules and regulations found in the Constitution. How can they still do that?
You want the real answer, which I think speaks for Republicans at large and like conservatives in general. We're not obsessed with Trump and every single thing that he does and says. And I know that politics as it's been, we're not getting any fabulous leaders. Biden, Obama, Kamala Harris, every leader has been getting worse and worse over the past few years. We don't have this great lineup. I think the Republican primaries were actually very solid. The Democrats had nobody else to run. That's why they had to run Joe Biden, replace.
Look, if you unbiasedly look at Obama, he was a pretty good president. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't like him. That was back in the time where all the people I ran with were saying that he was wasn't born here and he was a Kenyan and the birther movement and all that shit. All the people around me like that. But objectively, he was a pretty decent president.
Kamala Harris, they had nobody who's actually of the level of name recognition that they needed to win a presidential election who would govern well. But that's a side point. Overall, Donald Trump is the man to run this country right now. And there are many things that he has said and done that I don't agree with. But what are my choices? That's what it comes down to.
Chris Christie in the primary.
Never. That guy does not have conservative values.
Just because he speaks out against Trump. That's the only reason.
No, it's everything about him. I think, like I was telling you, the old school became the more modern. I think that Chris Christie is middle of the road. I think he's an okay guy. I've met him personally a few times, but overall, that is not a leader that represents me, that I have anything in common with. And this is why Donald Trump won the first time.
He has all the values of the Republican Party, and you're saying he's not a Republican. It's just because he doesn't like Trump. That's exactly why.
Why he won this time. People in this country.
Tell us what he said that doesn't allow with Republican values. Traditional Republican values.
Are sick of feeling so disconnected from the people leading them. They have nothing in common with these elitists. And Donald Trump, despite being a billionaire, which seems a reality TV star, real estate connoisseur, which seems incredibly hard for middle class and lower class people to relate to, he was the most relatable president in modern times because he was honest with American people.
I don't find it relatable to try to overturn elections.
Well, you identify with the elitist right? Why did I just hierarchy? Righteous. I don't know why my brain just. I think you identify with the leftists. No, you said that you're righteous, morally righteous. I think that makes sense. Why shouldn't I identify with Donald Trump?
Yeah, right. Because I don't think we should remember the Constitution. Oh, I'm so elitist.
But people in America.
By the way, who was it who was the most pro-labor president in history? Biden.
In what sense?
His NLRB.
NLRB?
National Labor Relations. Yeah, NLRB was one of the most pro-union. Well, you're not
pro-union is against.
You're not pro-union.
I think that there was a good point of unions at the beginning, but now unions have gotten like I don't want to be misquoted, but this is actually really important to talk about. Where the port workers, okay, they went on strike, and now they're saying they want like 6-figure salaries a year, all these things. I think unions have gotten crazy.
Like crushed. We need to uplift them. But my point is
not all of them.
that with the historic investments in infrastructure, with the efforts to lower prescription drug costs, and historic
Donald Trump did as well.
Trump failed to do correct.
No, lower costs of diabetes medication.
With the finally investing in
drugs for
chips
seniors.
manufacturing, so that we're not so dependent on other countries. You have this insane jobs record.
We canceled our fracking, so we rely on foreign terrorist countries for oil. He canceled the Keystone XL pipeline. That was my model Congress bill when I was 16 years old. So don't even try to liberal back in me. That was my model Congress bill.
Like you've never seen.
And
which president? Who was president? Trivia. When we hit record oil production in the United States.
Was it 2000? No, the 90s? I don't know.
Biden. We're currently producing more oil domestically than ever in the history of the country, and we're more energy independent than ever before.
I want to see charts on this because everything that he said has been against supporting fracking, has been against becoming. We need nuclear energy in this country. That's what Donald Trump supports. Renewable energy sources. Those are things.
The
windmills are horrible. They require so much land space, like in the desert. They require miles and miles.
It's an all hands on deck approach.
Windmills are one of the worst
solar,
renewable energy
nuclear
sources.
as we transition, and so many different things.
Unleashing American Energy was a Donald Trump platform.
Okay, Reuters.
Yes.
Record per day.
To a monthly record high.
And we're up there. That would top the prior.
How do you think they measure it, you dumb bitch?
What day was this?
In December. So the last record was set under Biden.
What do you want to measure it on a fucking 38-day rolling cycle?
We have a new record in August.
I have noticed, and so have millions of Americans, that the story that we're being told, the economy's great, the jobs are great. I know. So this isn't a one-off case across the board. People are not getting jobs. There's a really big difference between like the people looking for jobs and people who are hiring, where their skills don't match. This has been an issue for years now. But in terms of unemployment rate, maybe the unemployment rate dropped with Biden's numbers because people took themselves out of the workforce entirely.
Record people are working right now.
Record people. I mean, our population has gotten slightly, marginally not growing, but
so then
still,
it's even more remarkable that we have record employment.
No, but I think a lot of people may have taken. I would love to see.
So she's got to stand on this. The nuclear family's dying, so our population is taking a dip. And he's like, well, that's even more remarkable that a record number of people are actually working.
Data on this without getting in, but
people with jobs,
people who have been taking themselves out of the job market and things. But so overall, that's what my good faith argument to you is.
So I hear that
I'm being told this, but it's not the truth. It's not what I experience on a daily basis. It's not what everybody I know is experiencing. And I'm sick of being told that that's the truth and I'm crazy. And that's why Donald Trump won.
Yeah, so I agree.
It's an anecdote.
People feel like they're being gaslit and the prices have gone up. It just is unfortunate. And so then I can see that clearly we didn't come up with an effective enough message. And while Kamala would do a pretty good job of saying, listen, by the traditional metric, people keep saying the economy's good. That's, I guess, an accomplishment, but I want to do a lot more. I know there's problems to solve. That's the best balance she could come up with. I don't know how else you convince people of something that doesn't align with their feelings. It just doesn't mean that the feelings align with the correct cause. The price is going up, totally true. You're a perfect example, though. You cited your experience. You also ended up making more money, and you would never attribute that to the economy, whatever. But
I attribute it to my hard work because it is.
Right. So, so you're a perfect example of a lot of people might be benefiting, like you mentioned, the stock market portfolio, from a situation that's not because of Biden, but we simplify things down to the Biden era. They're actually making gains, but because of strong narratives and pandemic era trauma, people are never going to attribute that to Biden's governance. And that's why we've seen across Western world countries, I mentioned before, just incumbents, regardless of the right wing or left wing or centrist, getting.
Yes, it was a referendum on incumbents. So it seems like all across the world, whoever had been in power for the last few years with the inflation that was going on globally, they all were ousted almost universally.
Obliterated during this time of higher prices. But it is a global phenomenon because of a global crisis that I think Biden have dealt with pretty well. But we talked about before, Americans,
and we're outpacing every other country in the world on coming back, right?
Really hard time grappling with. Let me clarify. The Americans at large, narrative-based things, don't love meeting nuance. And so the nuanced point of your pain is real, prices have gone up, but let me tell you about the cause of that and why more Biden-Harris governance would actually be in your interest is not something a lot of people are going to resonate with because it's simple to go, no, the guy outside can fix it. When in reality, we've been fixing it better than everyone else.
Well, I don't think it's the guy. I understand that, but I don't think it's just knowing what we feel. It's not, oh, we just want to go for Trump because he's different than Biden. It's because we genuinely liked when Trump was in office that we didn't, despite the left covering him 24/7 saying he's all these horrible things. It was a point where Americans didn't really have to be constantly involved about politics, constantly following everything that's happening. They chose to follow all the Trump things. That was a whole different situation. But it feels like when Donald Trump is in office, you can sit back and focus on your business, your family, whatever you actually care about. And you don't have to constantly be worried, are we going to enter another war? Are my children going to have men in their locker rooms in school?
Were you there for the pandemic?
Where?
Were you around? Were you lying?
Right around.
We had to watch every day as Trump devastated us during his COVID press briefings. And you would say, well, that's not pandemic's fault. True.
What do you mean by devastated us? Because I think that's a personal opinion, not an objective truth. You didn't like the way Trump talked. Get over it. You know what I mean?
Body.
They said hydroxychloroquine. All of these things that they said he was crazy for using. That what? Hydroxychloroquine is an effective use against COVID.
All right.
What do you mean? There's so many people who have literally they've used it on pregnant women for 20+ years. How's that wrong? You're wrong.
Not for COVID, but
it's the same effective medicine. They said he was telling people to give them horse tranquilizer, all this stuff. Also medicine. Ivermectin is effective as well.
So people were getting the animal ivermectin.
People who are stupid and do that. People will drink bleach.
So maybe the president shouldn't go out and just.
But he was saying factually correct.
Putting UV lights up your ass.
At the end of the day, we're sick of being demonized as
putting UV lights up your ass.
I'm sick of being demonized.
More than half the country agrees, identifies with what I believe more than you. And I don't think you guys will ever.
Also, you admitted that when Biden won. That's what I thought. That was standards out the wazoo.
I know. You know what happened? People voted for Biden.
You know what happened? Biden won.
Hold on, I want to see this. I don't know what was just said.
That's what I thought. Double standards out the wazoo.
I know.
Where is that?
I don't think people voted for Biden because
Sorry, I accidentally opened a new window.
You know what happened whenever Biden won? Everyone said it was stolen.
I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Let's back that up. That was a showstopper. What happened?
More than half the country agrees, identifies with what I believe more than you, and I don't think you guys will ever.
Oh, so you admitted that when Biden won?
That more of the country agrees with me than agrees with you?
That's what I thought. Double standards out the wazoo.
I know.
You know
I
what
don't think people voted for Biden because they liked him.
You know what
He was the only other
happened? You know what
option.
happened whenever Biden won? Everyone said it was stolen. Not everyone. Your side generally did not accept the result. Whereas you expect us to go, oh, Trump must have been right because he won. A lot of bad people
But
throughout
you guys aren't
history have
accepting the
won.
results now either, and I don't say it's everyone, but take one look on left-wing
Name one
Twitter.
prominent. I can find left-wing
I don't know their
Twitter
names, so I
people
try not
doing
to
the
follow any of
funkiest
them.
things.
One prominent part, not just somebody online saying it, making it one prominent, even politician.
You never believe.
People with hundreds of thousands of accounts.
Oh, please.
Hundreds of thousands of
Dogs
followers.
have hundreds of thousands of followers on that.
Okay, those are still influential. Those are think tanks, whatever it is. There are left-wing talkers.
Can we just Biden?
But I'm saying
Peace
you guys
and
think
transfer
it's
power.
only the left. It's clearly everybody on all
No
sides
one in
doesn't
power.
believe in
No one in
elections
power.
anymore.
No one in power.
And it's a much bigger deal when the president does it versus somebody's Twitter account, right? The president is spreading this conspiracy about a stolen election.
Besides Donald Trump, who else in power was saying that the election
what?
that
Who
actually
else?
had the position
Mark
to change
Reed?
it? No, the people that you're going to
Jim
name are
Jordan?
people that I don't
Jim
agree with
Jordan?
already, and we have spoken about that.
Almost every Republican congressperson has at least waffled on.
Because there was
JD
questions.
Vance.
You think everything-
JD Vance said he would accept alternative electors. That's crazy. Find one Democratic congressperson or senator who will cast doubt on the election. There
I
be
will.
zero.
I will happily send it to you
Find-
after, and you're going to put it over the clip right
We'll
here.
do it right here if you can find it. Find one Republican or 100 who's in office who's cast doubt on the 2020 election. Again, I can find you 100.
Who's cast what?
Doubt on the 2020 election. My point is there's not equal respect or lack of respect. There's like this big, y'all got almost all of it. And then you're right, there's some
Yes.
people online who are crazy on my side.
Yes, but when it's your side, they're crazy. When it's my side, it's representative of the whole party, and that's the double
Don't
standard
tell
that
me
the
you don't get
Democrats
that.
have.
Don't tell me you aren't seeing what I'm saying. We both agree. It would
The leader of your party, which is the president or the presidential candidate, was doing it. Of course, it's the majority of the party because he's doing it.
be
Did you imagine how crazy they would have been if Joe Biden would have started screaming, "Stop the count. Kamala won. She's president. We won. I don't know what's going on over there at these states that are still counting, but obviously we won. Something went on," and then continued that for 4 fucking years.
insane to be responsible for defending everyone who happens to fall ideologically, for me, left of the center line, for you, right of the center line, because you get stuff crazy territory out there. So I never expect someone defend everything some random person who likes Trump on the internet said. I would never do that because that's just not fair. What I do think is fair is to say, look at how the two different parties and the two different groups of powerful people compare. And when you look at people who have, because we know they're actually relevant to our political conversation when they get elected through our democratic process, look at people who have been elected or want to be elected and how they compare. And so when you're looking at Biden, Harris versus Trump, Vance, you have Trump, Vance both not respecting our democracy as much as Biden, Harris, who do believe Trump's fascist and still respect our democratic process enough to go, we're going to engage in peaceful transfer of power.
I think that's giving them so much credit. And this is, again, another form of bias where you shed one side in a super favorable light and the other side in a super negative light. JD Vance and Donald Trump are anti-democracy. They are absolutely not. They are pro-democracy. They're pro-America. Saying
Except for the
January
Constitution.
6th is a whole, like, you guys had this idea of who Donald Trump was. And then when he didn't live up to any of that, he wasn't colluding with Russia. He was actually doing great things as president. You guys took January 6th to try and smear and stick all the accusations that you made against him and then
Schmear.
pile it on with the criminal cases and raiding his home with Biden's DOJ, raiding his home in West Palm Beach, all these situations.
By the way,
What it
Trump-
comes down to is that if you think Biden Harris respect democracy any more than Trump Vance, you're just morally righteous and you think your side is better than my side. And that's what it comes down to because objectively,
Do you think your side is
calling
is
the
same
other
as my side?
candidate to supporters garbage, to
And
say
then
that half the
clarifying
country was
immediately-
garbage.
Come on.
That I don't think, listen, there was a lot
Trump
of Republicans
has
who
never-
took that one thing and ran with it. I don't
Trump
think
never
that's
takes back his insult.
What has Trump said about everybody else for years?
But the left, I know, he's a fire starter. As Ben Shapiro once said,
Biden can't say the only garbage I see is his supporters. But look at the shit Trump said for years.
he's a hammer, sometimes he hits a nail, sometimes he hits a baby. But the left, Kamala Harris,
What?
Ben Shapiro once said he's a hammer, sometimes he hits a nail, one thing and ran with it. I don't
Trump
think
never
that's
takes
indicative.
back his insult
But
about
the
whatever.
left, I know, he's a fire starter. As Ben Shapiro once said, he's a hammer, sometimes he hits a nail, sometimes he hits a baby. But
What? And you voted for him? Imagine saying, "Oh, we got a contractor here in our house. He's he's redoing our bathroom. He uses his hammer all day. Sometimes he hits a nail, sometimes he hits a baby, my child, in their bassinet. And we're okay with that."
the left, Kamala Harris,
That's a great way to put it. I don't want a baby hitter.
Donald
No matter how
Trump,
many nails they hit.
you only think that Donald Trump won because people were uninformed and they didn't actually vote for him because they were informed and made a decision on their own.
They did vote for him, and they informed themselves on things that made them vote for him. And I think those
You're
things-
dodging my question.
I am.
You're dodging my question.
But
So
let me-
what he actually means
can
is
I
that
go? Can I go?
only dumb people can vote for him or
So-
uninformed people, which is the classic liberal take.
I think you're an intelligent person, clearly, as I'm
Totally.
interacting with you. I think I'm an intelligent person. We're sitting here looking up stuff while we're talking and still disagreeing on what the fact is. And I'm pretty certain in these cases I've been correct, but you think the same thing. And so even if both of us are really well-informed people, we keep up with politics way more than your average American, and still we have crazy differences of opinions on what
And when he finally showed her facts about like oil production, she's like, "Oh, they're telling you one thing, but that's not what's actually going on," right? So it doesn't matter. They won't agree on the facts.
the facts are that would lead you to vote for Trump, me to vote for Harris. obviously smart people, well-informed people generally, can still be misinformed because of propaganda machines and because of structural things that went against Biden Harris relating to worldwide pandemic conditions. So it's not that people are dumb or are just like uninformed people. It's that in this complicated world we're in, it's really easy to be misled.
I think that's a cop-out. I think that you can't confidently
Or just say, a cop-out. You literally said that they're lying to you about oil production.
Why do people vote for Harris?
I don't know, because they didn't want Donald Trump. That's really the only reason. I don't know anybody who liked her.
Because they
their own
intelligently
personal
knew?
reasons.
Because they thoughtfully were informed
No,
on how bad it was?
this is exactly what I'm
That's
talking
the
about.
point. I'm saying you won't admit that either. So
No, because I've actually spoken to voters on the ground, and I'm saying at large, I have not spoken to a single person, Democrat, who voted for Kamala Harris, who was able to give me a solid list of reasons why they were voting for her, aside from her not being Donald Trump. And that's exactly what Joe Biden was. People don't.
That's called an anecdote. Do you think you are interviewing the most well-informed Harris voters in the world?
Trump derangement syndrome. Well, I've never heard. And I went on the street, I was asking voters who you're voting
Watch
for.
my show.
Well, she lost, so it really doesn't matter. She's never going to be in power in this country, and thank God. But the point is that, according to the left, when somebody votes for Donald Trump, they must be misinformed. They must not know better.
You say the same thing about
No,
Harris.
but that's what
Come
you guys
on.
know. I'm not.
You think the only
let's
reason I
not
voted
compare.
against is not Trump?
No, let's not compare.
Yeah, I need to go back to
Back and forth.
Better policy. But that's
Let's
a
know what I'm
principle.
saying.
I'm trying
I
to
say
flesh
something
out a
about Trump. You
principle.
say something about Joe Biden. Not everything's comparable. They're two different candidates in two
So
completely
it's only
different
unacceptable
elections.
if it's only unacceptable if I think people voting for Trump are misinformed, not unacceptable when obviously you think the same thing about Harris voters.
No, there's a difference. I think.
'Cause you're correct
not
in
I
your
think.
mind and I'm correct in my mind.
No. I understand that people have a different outlook for this country. And there's a lot of people who have Trump derangement syndrome, who hate the man for whatever personal reason.
I think you have
they don't want
Kamala
him to be.
derangement syndrome.
No, I think it's very valid to think that she would have been a horrible leader in this country. She's literally never accomplished anything in her entire life except failing up through leadership. But
Really?
the point
Why
coming
do y'all
back
say
to.
that? Why, you can disagree with her. She
Because I
literally
think as a woman,
she literally
she would
served
have been
as
the most
district attorney,
embarrassing first female president.
district attorney in
And how'd she
San
get that
Francisco,
job?
attorney general,
How'd she get those jobs?
elected.
And who helped her get those jobs?
The people of California.
Have you heard of Willie Brown?
Senator, yes, I've heard of
Who's
him.
bragged about lies. There's okay.
And then
we're not getting to this.
and then
Kamala
vice
Harris is
president.
embarrassing to women everywhere.
Okay.
The point being,
except for all the ones
when
voted for, but they're misinformed. Oh wait, they're not.
No,
because you wouldn't say
I
that
haven't
about
said they're misinformed. That's the thing. You assume
What
I'm
do you
gonna
think
say.
then? You Trump derangement syndrome just as insulting.
we need to
You
talk
think-
about-
wait, you think we have a mental health? I know it's like a loose term, but condition. We have a mental condition.
There are definitely a group, not at
You think
large.
that's less insulting?
Have you met somebody with TDS? They're freaking insane.
I have TDS.
No, there's people.
I'm deranged about this.
You
It's crazy.
hating Trump is different. The fact that we're having a conversation right now shows that you don't have the full extent. You might have a little bit of it, but there's like you're just gonna say it's not true. There's millions, hundreds of thousands of stories, videos, everything of like Trump derangement syndrome. I saw a video yesterday where a woman sat next to a guy who was wearing like a fight shirt on.
Yeah, anybody who doesn't like, I supported Trump for years and years and years, right? And campaigned for him and espoused his rhetoric and everything. And now the other field groups or whatever are like, oh, he's just got TDS.
Picture of Trump holding his fist on an airplane. She starts looking at him, screaming at him. He says, "You're disgusting, this, that." Getting so pissed at somebody or getting so angry. If I saw a guy, I went to Nashville, a guy was wearing a Kamala Waltz or a Harris Waltz hat. I went past him, was like, I have a Trump hat, nice, fist bumped him. Like, I don't see Kamala supporters and demonize them. That's the
Me
difference.
neither.
But you just
That's
said-
you versus a random person on the internet. You've seen the MAGA fucking meltdowns too. Like, obviously. Imagine if I compared myself to every fucking lunatic that we see getting arrested. I'd be like, well, I've never done that, so it must be people from Tennessee don't do that. Or people from Irwin, Tennessee don't do that, right?
The only reason somebody would vote for Donald Trump is because they're not informed. And that is what the left believes. That's the only reason I would be conservative. I've gotten these comments all on TikTok my whole life.
Okay,
the
you're
only
right.
reason
That's
I'm
wrong.
conservative is because
I'm
my
wrong.
parents must have raised me
No,
like
I'm wrong.
that.
Or they have values that I find bad. I hear that it's frustrating. I agree that Trump's popular. Wrongly. Just like how you think when Biden won, he was popular wrongly.
Well, wrongly is different. You disagree with it. With the reasons people like him, which is valid for you.
And I know a lot of people who don't like him, but said they voted for him because of prices, which I dispute the reasons. But I also actually agree that like the whole you're both sides do this a lot. We can talk about which side's more divisive. I have my stance on that, but there is this: you're not a real American. And I don't believe that. I only categorize people for quickness of a discussion, so you know who I'm talking about quickly. But I agree, we're all Americans. I am worried that if you're correct, that people fully knew why they were voting for Trump and understood everything about Trump and knew that he said the government should come down hard on media outlets he doesn't like it, stuff like that. It disturbs me that people would be okay with that. But maybe it's just the reasons are different, or they have better values in my perspective, more aligned with pro-Constitution, pro-American values, but we're misinformed about what Trump really stands for, or thought that other things were more important, whatever. And hopefully next time that you come on, we talk about what we think will happen upcoming, because I realize we didn't talk at all about like
we talked like the last 12 years of politics.
Yeah. But thank you for coming on. If you want to shout out anything, feel free.
Yes, my Instagram, Twitter, the Deborah Leia, across everything. That's usually where you can find me. I'm based in New York, and I have a nonprofit organization called 1,000 Strong with my friends, where we support victims of terror worldwide. We have our third event in December. So this is uploaded before then. Send me a message. I'll send you guys the link to the tickets. We have raised over $500,000 for victims in terror in Israel, rebuilding bomb shelters, supporting widows and a lot of orphans since the war began. So hopefully they don't indict Mayor Adams before I am, because he's our keynote speaker every time. Free my boy, you didn't do nothing.
Oh, God.
But if you're in New York, you should definitely come.
Cool. Thank you.
You think she'll be back? You want to see something that I don't have a lot of emotions, And this hit me wrong. This was such a weird video. This is, what is it? Ballerina. It's Ballerina Farms. I saw somebody making fun of it.
Hi, so it's our
Ballerina Farm.
it was my birthday present from Daniel.
All right, so this woman is a super trad wife. Like, she is like the final boss on traditional wives. Like, she makes everything from scratch. Like, there was a video of her the other day getting up at like 4 a.m. to make her kids handmade Fruity Pebbles. She milks cows. She makes every meal. They don't buy hardly anything from the store. She sterilizes her own mason jars, makes her own juice for the kids. Like, nothing's bought from the store. She's a super traditional wife. She was a traditionally trained ballerina, but she met this guy. They have like 9 fucking kids, and she spends all day, like, basically, it feels like she's almost like chained to a stove. Now, this is making the rounds again, but this is not a new video. This is actually from back in 2021, I think. But you can tell, like, she desperately wants one thing, but she gets something else. So just watch this video.
It was my birthday present from Daniel.
From her husband.
Hoping they're tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
I hope it's tickets to Greece.
I don't know, the boys took it off.
I took it off.
It's from Ukraine.
So, plane tickets?
And she says it again and kind of laughs at, so plane tickets? She said, I hope it's tickets to Greece. Then she laughs it off and says, so plane tickets?
Ooh, a hat I can wear in Greece.
A hat I can wear in Greece. So she thinks it's a hat she can wear in Greece. So there's a third time she said it.
It's not a hat.
It's not.
Oh, my A-game friend!
Eggs in it.
It's great. I can gather eggs.
Can you see her soul dying a little bit? It's an apron where she can collect more eggs.
Ooh, a hat I can wear.
Then listen to what he says.
It's not a hat.
It's not.
Oh, my A-game friend!
Eggs in it.
It's great. I can gather eggs.
So cute. It's really cute.
It's really cute.
Cute one.
That's the best. You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
Ooh, doesn't that you're welcome hit hard? Doesn't that you're welcome hit hard as fuck? You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
Not for a long time.
It was my birthday present from
That you're welcome bothered me so much, dude. Like, she's begging for tickets to Greece. They're millionaires, by the way, but she's begging for tickets to Greece. She says it like 4 times. She's like, oh, it's for my eggs. You're welcome. Like that. That's wild.
Daniel. Hoping they're tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
Here's the comments. I would run away in the middle of the night. The way he didn't even care to pack it cutely. Yep, the you're welcome tells the story. Free this woman. He said, stay in the house, babe. Someone send this woman to Greece. I'd expect this from my broke boyfriend, but not the husband whose family owns an airline that could take me to Greece when like I asked. Couldn't even be bothered to wrap it. This is going to be a Netflix documentary one day. The you're welcome sent me into a blind rage. Daniel, your family owns a whole airline. Get mom her tickets. This made me so sad. His you're welcome was all I needed to know. The most disappointed face ever. She's like, thanks, but where are my tickets? Girl, you deserve better. Ballerina Farm video right below this. The way I would cry. He didn't even wrap it. Now you can gather eggs. Just add that to the list of things she has to do daily. Take her to Greece. God damn. This is the most trad wife in the world. Like, I don't know. She makes everything from hand. This isn't even the real account, I don't think. Here's the real account. And there was just a hit piece that come out on him a little bit. Okay, here, let's see what this one is.
One of our favorite things to eat in the fall time when the apples are at their peak here in Utah is homemade applesauce. And
they're super, super Mormon.
I make mine very simple. I just core my apples. I leave my peels on. I put a little bit of lemon juice, and then we cook that down for a little bit. And while that was...
And raising 8 or 9 kids.
Donuts today. So I added...
As well.
All the dry ingredients.
She is pretty. She actually competes in beauty pageants.
One bowl, and then we added all the wet ingredients to one bowl, which is...
I'm not saying everybody wants to be like a boss. It has to be like a boss babe and CEO and shit. Hell, Mariah doesn't really work, you know? She spends a lot of times with the kids and makes it to where I can go out and make fucking money, right? When I need to. But, like, I don't know. I hope this is by choice.
One of my dad's favorite things to eat.
And not like a weird religion thing or...
I'm going to take you along on Saturday morning chores before the kids' games. Wash the milk pail. I make it through the sea of boots and shoes in the garage, and we were off to the hay barn. We are picking up a 5-gallon bucket worth of grain so that we can take this to the sheep. So we drive back to the barnyard. We get the sheep in their pen. We put the grain down and they jump right in their headlocks. This keeps them occupied and happy during milking. I'm milking about 6 ewes right now, and they're each giving me more or less a quart each. And then after we milk the sheep, we fed the dog, we fed the cats. Lois is here feeding the calf. And then I'm jumping in the hay feeder and I'm going to fork up alfalfa to the cow and her calf and then all the lambs. They're out on pasture, but this is supplemental as the grass is getting less and less nutrients come fall time and winter time. This is Peter the lamb, the most friendly lamb we have. And then after that, we are back in the house. We make it through the maze of boots. We strain the milk. We get our protein. I'm also grabbing some jerky. And we hit the road. Daniel did dairy chores this morning, milked the cows. So he had a big morning as well. We got in the car, we got the kids in the car, and we are off to see some kids play some games. I'm going to take you along.
It's definitely weird.
Along with me as I feed the...
She is like the final boss of trad women for sure.
Recap here at the farm.
I wanted to see the one where she makes her... Hold on. Ballerina Farm juice. She makes her kids juice, but they can't even buy kids juice.
Green grape, pink grapes.
It seems like a lot of work when you could just buy a carton of juice. And they're super wealthy.
Okay, juice.
And all this has to be sterilized. That's why she's got the jar holder and shit. Like, obviously, if you put it up, you get fucking botulism and shit.
Just about done. So we're getting a hot jar out of the... So everything has to be really hot. So we're getting a hot jar out of the oven to have boiling water in them. Now...
Makes the juice that the kids drink.
Now we get a boiling lid.
Mommy, I
Yeah, she's best friends with Tim Ballet. Could you imagine spending like 15 hours making juice for your kids?
Green grape.
Now, people have started making parody content. Homemade.
This morning, my kids requested Fruity Pebbles, and far be it from me to deny their breakfast wishes, so I got started right away. I began by milling some rice flour along with some whole wheat and added those to a bowl along with some sugar, baking powder, and just a bit of salt. I added some sparkling water to make my pebbles effervescent, and then a concoction of various fruit extracts along with some olive oil. Of course, my pebbles needed some color, so I divided my batter into 4 bowls before using some all-natural dyes to color them blue, pink, green, and yellow. Spread each of my batters into a thin layer on some parchment paper and baked them for about 15 minutes. After that, I broke everything up into smaller pieces before adding it back into the oven at a lower temp for about half an hour until everything was crunchy. Once they were ready, I broke everything down until I was satisfied with the size and shape of my pebbles. Then they were ready to eat. I served them with some fresh, warm chicken milk, and these were an absolute hit. This morning, my kids requested
spending 6 hours in the morning making fresh Fruity Pebbles. I think the chicken milk is probably a parody video. I haven't seen many people milk chickens, but you know, whatever.
This morning, my kids requested Lucky Charms for breakfast.
Look at her fake face and shit. It's got to be parody.
Started right away. I made my marshmallow.
She is technically making it though.
Whipping together some egg whites, sugar, cream of tartar, vanilla bean paste, and a little bit of salt. Once it was nice and fluffy like a cloud, I divided it into separate bowls and added a bit of natural color before individually piping each of my marshmallows. I popped those in the oven to bake for a bit while I got started on the dough for my oat cereal. I added some oats to my food processor and processed it until I got a nice fine oat flour, added some whole wheat flour as well, sugar, baking powder, coconut oil, and some more vanilla bean paste, rolled my dough out into a thin layer, and then cut it into tiny diamond shapes. By this time, my marshmallows were finished, so I took them out of the oven and put my cereal in to bake for about 30 minutes. Let those cool completely before combining everything and serving it with cold chicken milk this time, and these turned out absolutely delicious. This morning.
That was so good, Mom.
Was it?
Yep.
Good.
I love you.
I love you.
It's your birthday. Can I try again?
Yeah.
That was.
I got some new makeup at this event I went to.
So this is her normally,
And
right?
it's beauty. So I wanted to try it out. I was going to film some stuff today.
This morning, the children requested
cornflakes.
Flakes, and who am I to tell them no? So I got started right away. I added some cornmeal to a bowl before blending up some oats to create a nice fine oat flour, which I then combined with the cornmeal. Added some fresh spring water that I collected by hand before sweetening with a bit of honey. I wanted a more elevated cornflake, so I harvested some fresh vanilla bean and added that to the mixture before spreading it into a thin.
There's a person there making fun of called Nora Smith. I wanted to see, there was a response video about the chicken milk. They must have taken it down.
This morning, my toddler.
Fruit Loops.
Pancakes, sure, yeah.
Because I'm making.
I guess they took it down. Now, the person they're making fun of is not the one we just looked, Ballerina Farms. I think Nora Smith is a different person.
It's very rare that I'm home alone for dinner. That's when I get to cook whatever I'm craving, and today I was craving a steak pie with some mashed potatoes. And this is my version of a girl dinner. I started by chopping up all of my vegetables, taking all the
No, she made a parody video where she's like actually milking the chicken.
Brussels sprouts off of the stalk. I cut those up before moving on.
She's like, this is our chicken, Bella. She's our heaviest milker. We get between 4 and 6 gallons a week.
On our 8-hour flight last night, Lucky mentioned this amazing half-baked cookie with salted caramel ice cream that he had and how badly he was craving it. So this morning, I woke up extra early to make him one. I started by making my salted caramel ice cream by letting some sugar turn amber in color, combining that with some heavy cream, milk, a generous pinch of salt, and a little bit more sugar before letting that warm up and tempering my eggs with it. Once my eggs were tempered, I poured them back into the pot, let that thicken until it coated the back of my spoon before straining it through a fine mesh strainer and setting it in the freezer to chill. Once it was cold, I churned it in my ice cream maker, and once it hit that soft serve consistency, I put that in the freezer for about 2 hours while I got started on my cookie dough. I whisked together my sugar and butter, added my eggs, some egg yolk, and made sure that was combined before adding my flour, some cornstarch, cornstarch and baking soda, giving that a good mix, and then roughly chopping my extra dark chocolate and adding that to the bowl as well, and folding that in until just combined. I let those bake for just under 10 minutes since we're going for a very underbaked cookie. And then we were done. I made sure to serve the cookie hot, put some of that caramel ice cream on the side, topped it with some flaky salt, and breakfast was done. He usually doesn't have sweet treats like this, but he absolutely loved it. On our 8-hour flight last time I got ginger ale, it was flat and it was all around just a disappointing experience. And since I was craving one,
She's making ginger ale.
Myself one. I started by peeling all of my ginger and slicing it into pieces. I prefer doing this over grating it. I transferred it over to a bowl and got started on making simple syrup by combining water and sugar. I let that warm up until the sugar dissolved before adding in all of my ginger and returning.
It's definitely an acquired taste. I mean, just look how she dresses when she does this shit.
More nerve-wracking than speaking in. We arrived in England. Is there anything more nerve-wracking than speaking in public on a panel in front of thousands of people? For me personally, there isn't, and I spent all night tossing and turning because I felt so anxious, but also very excited. When Business of Fashion invited us to London to speak, I obviously could not say no.
There's definitely this weird push.
Use your voice. So this panel felt like the perfect environment for me and Lucky to sit down.
To like have tons of money, but move to like a rustic cabin by candlelight and a fucking like a hardwood fire and make everything at home. I don't know. It's weird.
I arrived in England yesterday, and I've been craving Persian food all day long. So when I found out my toddler woke up with a cough and a slight sore throat this morning, and when I checked the fridge, I realized we were all out of cough syrup, so it was definitely time for a restock. I started by
She's making cough syrup.
A good amount of ginger. I don't know what it is about peeling ginger, but it's always so hard for me. I poured some filtered water into my pot, added my ginger, my lemon peel, some fresh thyme, and also some lemon balm. I usually just eyeball the ingredients, put that on the stove to simmer for about 45 minutes, and then turn the heat off and just let it cool down while I get started on mixing some honey and the juice of about 2 small lemons. Sometimes I do 3. I squeeze them through a fine mesh strainer, making sure that I don't get any of the seeds in. Once my herbal mixture is warm and not hot anymore, I strain that as well, making sure to get every last drop before Mimsy is 7 months old now, which means we're prepping baby food. So here's a few basic things I prep to make day-to-day life a little easier. I started by warming up some milk. Since we had a little bit of yogurt left over, I used that to start my new batch. So I combined some of the warm milk with my old yogurt, stirred that in, covered that with my lid, and let that sit for 7 hours in a warm place. In the meantime, I made a quick blueberry compote to go on top and then moved on to making some bone broth. I had some bones left over in my freezer, so I popped those in the oven to roast, and while they were cooling, cut up some celery, carrot, and onion, added that to a heavy pot, and then added my beef bones on top, filling that up with filtered water and letting that simmer for about 7 to 8 hours. I also skimmed off all the gray foam on top before placing the lid on. I also like prepping some puree, so on this week's menu we had some purple sweet potato and butternut squash, as last week we had pea and mint. Once the vegetables are done roasting, I transfer them over to a food. Here's everything my toddlers eat in a day. Obviously not every day looks the same, and I usually don't cook them any extra meals. They eat whatever Lucky and I are eating. With that being said, for breakfast they had some apple compote with some pumpkin pancakes. They love a good cup of tea in the morning, so I made them some tea midway through. Then I got started on my pancake batter by combining some eggs, pumpkin puree, milk, vanilla, and maple syrup, and pouring that into my dry ingredients. I plated that with the apple compote we made and some maple syrup, and they ended up having seconds. A little later they requested a snack, so I cut up some salami, Parmesan cheese, pistachios, and some pomelo. Since it was so gloomy and cold outside, I decided to make a lentil soup with some fresh roasted garlic focaccia. So I've been rising for 4 hours before I popped it in the oven and finished off my lentil soup by adding some kale to it. Once the bread was done, I cut it up and it was time to plate. There's nothing better than a lentil soup to me, and the kids absolutely love it as well. But like every meal, it's always a hit or miss on whether they're
It's been a long day.
Oh no, they do this every day.
Tacos tonight. I got 4 hours of sleep last night, probably even less because I woke up in between those 4 hours. So I'm not cooking tonight. Okay, so we kind of always...
Some of you ladies have some catching up to do, okay?
Something late at night, and even though it seems like a hassle, you just have to make it. I've been craving churros all day today, so I just decided to make some before going to bed. Started by making my caramel
homemade churros.
Amber color, whiskey, and some butter and heavy cream before transferring it over to my glass jar to cool. I then started on my churros, which was just some water, sweetener, some oil that I let come to a boil on the stove, and once it was boiling, I pulled it off and added some flour before giving that a good mix. I set that aside and made my sugar cinnamon mixture. I used non-fruit sweetener for this, and then transferred my churro dough to this little gadget. Heated up my coconut oil for frying, and then working in batches, put my churro dough into it until it was golden brown. While it was still hot, I gave it a good toss in the sugar mixture, and repeated that with all my churro dough. This little midnight snack hit the spot. A little crunch on the outside, soft in the middle, stunning.
This was a late night snack. She cooked for 6.5 hours.
And this has been my favorite late night snack lately. It's currently almost 12 o'clock, but I needed a little late night snack, and this has been my favorite thing to make. When I asked my toddlers what they wanted for dinner and they both requested SpaghettiOs, I was a little taken aback. I wasn't aware that they knew what SpaghettiOs were, but nevertheless, I made them some for dinner. Cut my tomatoes in half, grated them, and then moved on to thinly slicing my garlic and dicing up my onion. I made sure to get a smaller dice on those. I added some olive oil and garlic to my pot, let that heat up on the stove before adding in my onions and some tomato paste. Once that had a few minutes, I poured in my grated tomato, leftover Parmesan rind, some oregano, salt, a pinch of sugar, and just a touch of balsamic vinegar. While that was simmering, I got started on my pasta dough by combining some eggs, flour, salt, oil, and kneading that until it came together before wrapping it in plastic wrap and letting it chill for about an hour. I then used my pasta attachment to get the shape I wanted before cutting it into smaller pieces and forming it into the classic SpaghettiO shape.
She made every fucking O from pasta.
Then I put them into the sauce, let them cook for about 10 minutes before it was time to serve. I plated both of them.
No fucking way, dude.
When I asked my toddlers what they want,
I would imagine you don't connect the O's. Like you would run it through an extruder, a pasta extruder that makes like a hollow tube, and then you just slice it off to make the O's. The fuck out of here.
For dinner, and they both requested SpaghettiOs. I was a little taken aback. I wasn't aware. My natural hair is very curly. When I started straightening it, almost.
She's wild, dude.
Tea tasting. Tea. I'm just a girl that loves fashion, so when we got invited to the CFDA Awards by Ralph Lauren, I obviously said yes and got on the next flight out. So tonight we're getting ready for it. My nails were embarrassing, so I had to get my nails done, hair and makeup. I'm very selective with who I let touch my face, but Yasmin, my makeup artist, just got back from tour, so I was so happy. We made it out to New York to glam me for tonight. Little onesie Lou came with us to New York. Obviously had to hang out while we were doing glam. Got the dress tailored the night before, so we were trying it on to see whether it fit. I'm so glad it fit so well. Right before leaving, Lucky got onesie to sleep, did the finishing touches, and then we were out the door. I always get a little bit of social anxiety when it comes to events like these, so I'm so glad that Lucky and I can do them together. Once we got there, I was so in awe of this museum and the dinosaur skeletons, and little me was geeking out. Just a little science girl at heart. We walked the carpet, got the pictures, and then it was time to sit down and have my first chicken pot pie and enjoy the rest of the night. I'm just a girl that loves fashion, so when we got invited to the CFDA Awards by Ralph Lauren, I obviously said yes and got on the next flight out. So tonight we're getting ready for it. My nails.
So they're both fashion models, right? Nora Smith, and I think his name is Lucky Smith.
There's a few things as soon as it gets a little colder outside, all I crave is comforting foods. So for dinner tonight, I decided to cook some comfort meals. I started by making a butternut squash soup. I took the seeds out of my butternut squash, cut some onions, seasoned it before popping it in the oven for about 30 minutes. As soon as everything's caramelized, I let that cool. And in the meantime, I got started on my beef roast. My favorite part of a roast are the soft carrots, so I made sure to add extra carrots, cut those into large chunks, halved my potatoes, so cut up some. I have 24 hours.
Pretty intense.
My husband doesn't cook, but he bakes. When we got home late last night and I asked him to make me some cookie dough, he said he would, only if I made us some vanilla.
Oh, you want to hear? First of all, is there anybody in the chat that's ever been in the Army? Like the actual Army? Second of all, you want to hear what Mariah finally had to admit? Mariah finally had to admit that my ramen noodles are better than her ramen noodles. Because I have a procedure, okay? When Mariah puts noodles on, it's just, oh, yeah, and she leaves them on maybe 10 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, just however long the video she's watching lasts. Mine go in to a hard rolling boil for 3 minutes exactly. And then they come out before all the starch and they turn into mush and shit, right? Mariah's pasta sticks to the fucking wall. And she's always like, why don't you eat ramen noodles when I make them? And I'm like, but the kids love them either way. So, but Mariah had to admit, as an adult, that mine are better than hers for adult. The kids will eat anything. Throw some hot sauce on it. They're good to go. But I follow mine to a set recipe I've got. I even use a microwave timer. I note the time I put them in. 3 minutes later, they're coming out of there. They're being strained. They're being done. I got something I gotta settle. Mariah thinks I made an Army word up. I'm gonna make a TikTok video and ask if you've ever been in the Army. So check out my TikTok account if you want to. I'm out of here for the night, guys. It's fucking free. The high today was 32. Luckily, it wasn't like dropping or raising. It just stayed 32 degrees all day long. But like right now, it's cold as fuck, and we're still riding in and out on side by sides and the one wheel and shit. So it's I apologize. Actually, it warmed up some. It is 34. So we'll see. I think later on in the week, it's supposed to get back up in the 60s. Let's see, Sunday 60s, Monday 60s. I'm not ready for cold weather. I got too much shit to do. We've been working on the gallery that was gutted. Some of the buildings that's still standing that we're trying to save. And we got tractors and excavators and shit. We don't need the fucking cold weather for sure. Either way, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Support the stream while we're offline if you care to. I'm working on my disability, but currently unemployed, so I'll stream as much as I can. But it may end up coming. I don't know when the campground's going to be open again. I don't know if I'll still have a job at the campground. They're talking about now maybe just opening it up to long term, which wouldn't be bad for the owner, right? Like long term's less of a hassle. You have more stability in your pay. It's like having like a renting out like houses, right? So it's less turnover, less people coming in and out. But the money that we made from seasonal stuff is what paid for all the improvements, and all the improvements was basically what I was doing as the maintenance guy, right? So I don't even know if I'll have a job there if it's long-term only. So I'm trying to get my disability straightened out, but if I can't do that, I may have to end up returning back out into the road if I can, and that would probably cut way down on the shows. I don't think there'd be a show anymore. But we'll see. That's what we got going on right now. Until then, I guess I'll keep streaming when I can get out and get back in and not be fucking froze to death. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Support the show while we're offline at coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund, and we'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. I can't make Colin block you. He's currently having me arrested, okay? Thanks for hanging out with me.
About if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people.
I may not have the biggest audience, but we have a pretty dedicated audience. Thank you guys for being here.
They are, and telling the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have
Daria.
Okay, Scott. Here we go. I think I started some shit.
The fuck is that shit?
You know that stage is set.
Well, it's still early. Like, we usually don't have this much. I mean, it's usually not this cold this time of year. Not for any extended amount of time.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believers? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong.
I'm actually wearing thermals under my pants right now, like the Army Polypro thermals. I don't know if you guys know what those mean, but where I was out in the wind and it was just cutting through like the pants that I was wearing. I got thermals on and a hoodie. It's only 59 degrees in the office right now.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage.
Daria Morgendorfer.
Cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when
2 F's.
I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go. I think I started some shit. Piss them off. It's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets. You know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3.
Go watch the Oompaville full interview if you guys want to. I can drop the link. It's actually very informative when you're talking about drama and misinformation, disinformation. There you go. I'm gonna go watch the full thing.
Like they know hitters, assholes throwing bullshit, and runs to the shitter. All this nonsense on my conscience, it's hard to sleep at night. Who the fuck is in my window with this time?
I put it in Telegram and Discord too if you need it.
With all their secret